lurking, I'm watching them close. Acting like friends, but really they foes. Saw they be scheming and said adios. Yeah, I gotta get it. Yeah, by any means. I gotta get it, the mindset. I gotta get it, the mindset. Hey, back with a vengeance, back on the grinds, back to the business. Hey, God is my witness, they watching my moves like shows, they binging. Hey, best keep distance, all of my haters send best of wishes. I get to the bag with the quickness, no I don't need no assistance, oh. Yeah, no playing it safe, I said let's get it, you say not today. What can I say, if you ain't gon' go for it, get out the way. Yeah, got no time to waste, can't be with me if you're not at my pace. You're not at my level, you're not in my race. One foot on the gas, I'm pushing the brakes. Dancing with the devil, there's no recital. I'm killing competition, ain't no revival. I shoot it to kill it, I'm aiming for vitals. I'm showing no mercy when facing my rivals. Snakes in the grass, they getting exposed. I know they be lurking, I'm watching them close. Acting like friends, but really they foes. Saw they be scheming and said adios. Yeah, I gotta get it. Yeah, by any means. I gotta get it, the mindset. I gotta get it, the mindset. I gotta get it, the mindset.
The BMW M SIM Cup makes its way over to America's National Park of Speed, where today for round 3 of our 2023 multi-class Odyssey, we'll see who can come out on top in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Hello everyone and welcome back to RaceSpotTV and to the iRacing Esports Network as we stay inside of America as we continue our journey through the world of BMW Virtual Motorsports. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, as always delighted to have your company here alongside with Lewis McLeod. You'll be able to follow along with live timing and scoring over on timing71.org. Hopefully you'll be able to follow along by going directly to racespot.wtf/BMW. Lewis, what an interesting start to 2023 that we have had. First at Daytona at Sebring, for the first time, multi-class action in this BMW Virtual Motorsport offering, welcoming the BMW M Hybrid V8 to iRacing.
Yeah, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we will be complaining about track numbers all the way through the next 2 hours, as we have done on the previous couple of circuits. It's just a classic for us in the BMW M SIM Cup. I'm sure we're in for some interesting racing. We certainly got that at Sebring, but hey, it keeps us entertained, keeps us excited, and keeps us well involved in the mix.
The fun thing with the addition of the M Hybrid V8 has been that we now have 2 stacked classes to talk about. And it's a stacked field all the way through. We'll talk about those teams and drivers in just a few moments' time. Let's talk about the format, and the point structure hasn't changed too much from what we had over in 2022. Still, you race as a team, but you accumulate points effectively by yourself, and that means if you get the fastest race lap, you'll be better off than your teammate, especially when it comes to the $50,000 in prize money that we'll be paying out. No BMW Sim Live at the end of the year, so Lewis, at the end of the day, consistency will be rewarded through our prize pool.
Yeah, obviously you've got to play things long term when it comes to the championship, looking for that $1,500 for winning the championship, fair enough. But that's each category, and there are prizes up for each race. The podium getting, I mean, a grand for winning the race. It's not a bad rate. It just means that you've got to be on best behaviour all the way through each of these races, which we've seen at the best of times is not exactly easy, is it?
Especially when we have live race control that's going to make sure that they're keeping everyone watching their P's and Q's. Here's a look at the championship standings as they run right now. And again, just to remind you that the driver gets the fastest race lap. And so Vlad Kimichev in front of his Urano Esports Data Group teammate Jonas Wolmar, although it is Urano Esports. 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have really figured this car out, Lewis. And I do expect them to continue that form here today.
Yeah, I do. If memory serves, back in Sebring, Vlad Kimichev and Jonas Wolmar, they didn't start particularly high. I think they started something like 14th, 15th place.
Yes.
And still, timing, rose their way up, maybe got a little bit lucky with some of the incidents and what have you, and they ended up winning back-to-back race victories, back-to-back, double podiums for Urano. It's been a very solid start to the year in a car which they very clearly get along with quite well.
And from this championship standing, do look at how your leaders already have a pretty significant advantage over the rest of your top 10. Why is that significant? Because when we talk about the other championship, the GT3 championship, this one looks a lot closer. And after Lallam and Pinto were able to get Redline back up to the very top of this BMW M SIM Cup for the first time ever, it was not Redline on top at the Daytona International Speedway. Instead, it was Urano Esports HP. Now, Alexei Nesov and Luka Kina missed out on points last time out. And more importantly, Alexei Nesov not racing here today, Lewis. He's got some more important priorities. He's off in Italy somewhere at Monza racing some GT3 cars in the real world.
Yeah, I did see him. He did get his hands on some sim racing earlier on, though, yesterday. I can't remember where he finished in that race.
Oh, just at the front, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. He's not bad, is he? Obviously, when he takes sim racing seriously, he's all right. When he takes motorsport seriously, I'm very concerned. I've got to say, though, when it comes to this championship and scoring points, to have a couple of rounds over the season where you don't score points, I actually think should be fairly expected. You've got to remember, they are all driving the same car in their respective categories. Just to clarify, I'm not saying that the two categories are the same. Let's get over that one. And only the top 10 score points. That's it. If you finish 15th, if you finish 20th in these stacked grids, yeah, it's a tall order.
Yes, and I think a stacked grid is indeed what we've got in store for you all today. Now, qualifying, of course, will set the stall, and we always talk about how important qualifying is in these 2-hour sprints, because the first time through traffic is always the most chaotic, and I think that's been borne out so far over the course of the season. The time starting to come in for the GT3s already. SRC Movano 1 and 2 in qualifying for your LMDH. It's ASR Able Esports, the Canadian outfit that currently sit at the top of GT3, but already displaced. Looks like lap number 2, what most of the teams are setting up for.
Yeah, all about that preparation, getting the tyres right into the correct temperature window. One of the Urano cars coming up to the line to cross over and potentially start what I believe will be their... Oh no, it was actually just to finish their lap off. Never mind, they're already done with the session, and third is as good as it'll get. The Urano Esports Data Group car is BS Turner go to second.
I mean, are we surprised that Pedro Sanchez Albert is quick in qualifying again?
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Maybe the surprise is, Lewis, it's not pole for the third time in a row.
Yeah, I mean... let's be honest, still front row, so it's not a bad record for the start of the year. Tom Hooper up towards the line, a good enough improvement. 9th place they'll go. BS Competition, I think, were the one that improved to 6th. There's we got a new pole.
Owen Carroll in the Apex Racing Academy car, and I think a car that we've seen show a turn of speed, if not had too much luck. Also have Danny CV Charbro that's just jumped up in the 2nd Apex Racing Academy car inside of your top 4. Maybe teammates will be able to work together. That's the slate done though now for LMDH. We can turn our attention over to the GT3s. Interestingly, only Jeopard Esport, or however you say that team name, have elected to actually set a representative lap on lap number 1. Everyone else 20, 30 seconds off the pace.
No, I was just starting to feel really good about my speed around here, if I'm perfectly honest. That is mad that there is only one. Bear in mind, you're talking about 20-odd cars there, and there's only one that's been like, right, we're going to beans it on the first lap. That shows that the meta really is to use 2 warm-up laps, which takes incredible patience to do, and then to nail this one lap. Let's see what Luca Kita can do up towards the line.
I don't have that kind of patience anymore. 2:03.480, so it is half a second quicker than what we had provisionally done as our benchmark, and now one by one they will all streak across the line. Here's Vildenez in his return to the series, a previous race winner, and up to the top as look at that!
Whoa.
Please hire Jaden Ladick, we've got a surprise in our LMDH.
I did see that team name earlier on, and I was like, part of me does want that to get pole position. R8G improved to the pole. BS Competition getting to 2nd with Elias Riker. As we've got another one, Matti Siepela, bang, straight up to the pole.
So many surprises at the very closing stages of qualifying. Here comes Chris Lullen, but it's not going to be enough for pole. It is enough for 6th. Again, look at the spread through the GT3 class because it's a second that splits them all.
That is madness. So tight. I don't know if we've got any more laps to come in. Well, the final second ticks over, and the answer to that question is no. Great team names taking pole position in each of our categories. That's what we can say. Tyre Bag Racing, and please hire Jaden Ladick. Madness.
You know the best part about that, Lewis, is it wasn't even Jaden Ladick that set that pole position time.
No.
Let's run you down through the starting grid for round 3 of your BMW M SIM Cup, because it's Alex Gall, the satellite racing driver, that I believe will share a car with surely Jaden Ladick to lead us. No?
Arturo Melgar.
Wow, what a team name. They are really bringing the heat. Alongside Owen Carroll, who for so long thought he had pole position, pipped at the very death before SRC Movano Corsa and BS Turner line up on row number 2. It will be the Apex Racing Academy car inside of a very white Williams Esports car. Literally, SRC Movano and Urano Esports Huawei with Yup Dalik back on 7th and 8th positions. Vlad Kimichev and then Peter Zuba. The swarm of red continues with Dominic Hoffman for Urano and Dion Fiallo 11th and 12th. Rolling from 13th, the return of Team Canapino. Augustin lines up alongside Benjamin Frigero in the Race Clutch Black car with Maniti Racing Purple, Obsidian Racing, and then ART Sim Racing X, and the Valkyrie car rounding out the front 9 rows. It's then the distinct GG Pink car, Simsa, and Pure Sims Esports to round out the stacked LMDH field before we go to what may be an even more stacked GT3 field with just over a 10th and a half, splitting the front 8 or so cars. It's Matti Siepela in the delightfully named Tyre Bag Racing 488 BMW. Florian Lebigra accompanies him alongside on the front row with Elias Riker for BS Competition and Maxime Brienz, the rock and rolling Frenchman, on the outside of row number 2. It's Redline on row 3 with Gianni Vecchio inside of Chris Lullen, and then Elvis Rankin and Thibaut Prévost for the Apex Racing team, and Arnage right behind them. Tom Burns, the third of the Redline contingent, inside of Sam Koitert for Urano, with Ascari Rede coming off his very first Porsche Esports Super Cup podium, lining up inside of Phil Denez. Then we've got David Toth, Luca Kita, 13th and 14th, with Altus in 15th alongside with Michael Yanni. Team PGZ rolling from 17th and 18th spots, and 19th spot it turns out. ASR Abel in 20th to round out those front 10 rows. Jeopard Esports, ATRS, and then the Valkyrie XP competition. That's about 1 second splitting those top 23 cars, with Andrew Caron back in 24th position. And that's a look top to bottom at the field. And guess what? They've got a full pace lap to work around as well, so we get plenty of time, Lewis, to talk about the awful corner numbers here at Road America.
Hero, literally what I was about to say. We've got plenty of time to complain. Yeah, no, they're terrible. They are just beyond terrible. Turn 1, next corner, has to be turn 3, doesn't it? because that kink apparently counts.
I'm not going to argue on the side of logic there. And then somehow you exit turn 3 and you go down. I know it's not a straight, but it's a straight at the end of the day, and you break into turn 5.
Yeah, which makes the reason why that irritates me more so than most is because it's kind of like, yes, you've got a kink one way, but you do also have a kink the other way. So it's either turn 5 or surely it would have to be turn 6 because there's 2 kinks in there. Why is there only 1 counted? I mean, it should be none. It should that should be turn 3. But
to be fair, we are equally inconsistent with that across the world in terms of what is a kink and what is not. Again, we're going to have a split class start, and look at the gap that's being left here. The GT3s are going to be racing through Bill Mitchell Bend into the final corner, and then up through that large rise to the start-finish line. I think it's going to be a racy run for those GT3 machines.
Yeah. By the way, I am just going to say, speaking of GT3s, and speaking of tyre bag racing, I did speak to, obviously it's Matty Siepler alongside Alex Dunn in that car. I did have a little bit of a brief message with Alex Dunn, mostly because I was ripping into him because he's a B-class driver. 8.7k, B 1.8. So, you know, read into that what you will. He said Red Bull Ring and Spa for you. That's fair enough. I also said that he has to win, and then he replied with BAM pole. So, you know, things are on the up for tyre bag racing. Brilliant. That's terrible.
I'm trying to think of
who thinks of that.
You know what the best team name we've ever seen on RaceSpotTV and the iRacing Esports Network is? It's not the one that you and I had, Lewis, unfortunately.
I know.
It was during our iRacing Road America 500, so at this track just a couple of weeks ago. Why is there an arbitrary character limit on iRacing team names?
Oh, really?
That was the team name. It was superb.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
What's the second best team name?
It has to be.
Was Cooking Racing Adventures is up there.
What? I mean, it is a great team name. It really is. No, I'm still self-biased, but yes. Aurora,
yes, there you go.
Calamity, Flag to Flag, powered by RaceSpot is just a great team name. It just rolls off the tongue.
So, into Canada corner we go, getting ready to rumble for this third round of the BMW M SIM Cup. Lewis, prediction time.
I am going... I'm going to go with BS Turner.
BS Turner?
Yeah, why not? Still one from you. Obviously, in the hybrid. And I'm going to go with Tyre Bag Racing in the GT3s. There you go. Boom. Done.
So you have just stolen at least one of my picks. I will not confirm or deny about the second. Let's go, please hire Jaden Ladick in
great team,
the LMDH class. And I'll go Team Redline in GT3. Okay. I think back-to-back. But regardless, at America's National Park of Speed, the LMDHs will storm their way up the hill to see Barney with the green flag. We're racing for round number 3 of the BMW M SIM Cup. 3 wide further behind, but into turn 1. Who's going to be bravest of them all? Your leader comfortably sailing on through as they descend down the hill. SRC Movano finds the kitty litter, as I think did the Distinct.GG car on their very first top split appearance. GTD's also starting to work their way into turn number 1 as they build up some speed, single file for the top 4.
Yeah, that certainly was SRC Movano Corsa and indeed Distinct GG going off. A couple of other issues back there as well. I mean, it's easy to do down into turn 1. GT3's a touch cleaner, it seems.
Through turn 5, it's side by side about 5 rows deep further back, but the front deciding to play a lot nicer in that LMDH class. Still Urano duking it out door to door. That's Vlad Kimichev and Dominic Hoffman, who have already had some decent success. They can't afford to trip up over each other as they carry their speed through the hurry downs. Now into turn 5, the GT3's battle.
Yeah, I saw that from Elvis Rankin. It was him trying to get his way past Chris Lulham, as well as one of the other red line cars that I think was Tom Burns. Actually dropped back a few positions just after a little bit of a switch up going through turn 3 and 4. Might not have been, but either way, there's been. It's kind of one of those things when you go down into turn. I'm going to go. I still just want to go with turn 3. It's actually turn 5, but it's fine. When you go for a move down into there, you can be wrong-footed up towards turn 6 and going under the bridge, and that seemed to be the case.
Coming towards the final corner, though, It is Alex Gall that converts pole position to a 1 second lead at the line, but Owen Carroll, Pedro Sanchez-Albert trying to keep him honest in the Apex Racing Academy and in the BS Plus Turner machines. Nice run through the field, only one LMDH having issues, GT3 seeming relatively calm. I did see a couple of the cars going off the track, but without losing any positions, crucially. No changes inside of the top 8 in this GT3 class.
No, like I say there, all the switching up that happened on that first lap kind of returned back to some semblance of normality, to be perfectly honest, and yeah, absolutely fine. Honestly, a bit calmer than I would have thought, and that will probably remain the case right up until the one very important moment when those LMDHs get up to the rear end of the GT3s, and then we'll be back into crazy town. If you are looking to save fuel, do it now, whilst you can.
I was just about to bring up not just the traffic point again, but also wondering, what are we looking at in weather conditions? Because Road America can get pretty toasty as we work into the summer. At 44 degrees track Celsius is maybe not the warmest I've ever seen on iRacing, but the Michelin rubber definitely I don't think is going to enjoy that.
No, it's not quite as toasty as what we had back in Sebring, because wasn't that up towards the lower 50s?
Well, we did see plenty of struggles with tyres, and so maybe we can carry something forward from that. Big send to the inside by Vecchio, and he's going to get past Maxime Briente. Yeah, another one as well from BS Competition as well. Behind that, Ascari Rene, after a decent day yesterday, trying to get past Tom Burns, and will complete the move as they go under the bridge. You say decent day yesterday. Now,
it was pretty decent.
Finns are usually, you know, a few words, but we actually got a few words out of Ascari. It did take some prompting. Yeah. The first time I asked him how did that feel, he went, "That's not bad." And then eventually we got like 5 sentences out of him. Can you imagine?
Goodness, no, I can't actually. To be honest, I don't believe you. So no, again, it was good. Was it podium, wasn't it?
It was second.
Yeah, not bad. I did see obviously Florian Hasper posting about that on Twitter as well, as he's in full recovery mode. Those kind of things do help, don't they? You've seen your team do well. Yeah,
let's give a shout out to VCO's head honcho, BS Competition's head honcho as well, for that matter, as their car fights a little bit further up. It's Elias Riker, excuse me. Florian recovering from some medical stuff, and unfortunately for the world of VCO, that means scaling things back this year, but it was great to see the reception that the competitors, the viewers, and everyone had to the news, because we all just want the best for sim racing, and hopefully maybe next year things will get back to a little bit more normal.
Yeah, we all want the best for sim racing. We all want the best for Florida as well. So, yeah, it's interesting times in the world of sim racing. There is always constant changes and changes up. By the way, I did also see that Phil Denez had followed his teammate Ascari Rene through on Tom Burns. So, another move being made up in that GT3 category. Up in the LMDHs, things are pretty calm. Bit of a gap has formed between Alex Gow and Owen Carroll at the front of the field. It's about it kind of got over to about 1.1, 1.2 seconds, come back down to just under a second, but it is still hovering over that kind of margin. Part of me wants to see them win, because I want to hear you call that across the line.
The please hire Jada Ladick?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be an interesting one. That would be for sure. They have dropped the Williams Esports Marla car of Matt Farrow, so that is of note, but we'll see how plays out with that first cycle through traffic. We saw them get split up quite significantly last time. I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be the case again. Just look at this choo-choo train, though. I mean, it is basically the entirety of the GT3 field that is just running line astern right now. And when I say line astern, I literally mean line astern.
This is a proper throwback to the last couple of years of BMW Sim Competition, of course, when we did the M8 GTE and, of course, the M4 GT3, where we kind of saw a bit of craziness over the first sort of 10 minutes, and we were always kind of saying about this. It was the 40 minutes and then followed after that. Basically, nothing happened, and it is almost a little in that vein. And this is like the calmness of now, right up until those pesky LMDHs start coming through, because that's when things get over. But thankfully, with this being such a long circuit at Road America, you won't actually have to deal with the LMDHs as many times as you would on quite a few other circuits that we go to.
Yes, but I feel like compared to Daytona, Daytona, of the 3 tracks we've been to so far this season, is the easiest of traffic management.
Yeah.
Sebring and Road America, I'd argue, are both difficult in their own ways. My opinion, Sebring is more difficult, but the speed discrepancy between the 2 classes, I think, at this track in particular, makes the judgment calls required so much more split second and so much more important.
Yeah, but I think that the thing is you kind of, obviously, how a car is faster than another car is kind of one of the major things when it comes to multi-class racing and what you need to understand. Because, like, say, for example, if you're an LMDH driver, it's why sometimes with some, like LMP2s, if I remember correctly, wherever I've, in some other things that I've raced, LMP2s versus GTEs, actually not too bad, because you can sometimes kick off the corner quite a bit faster than a GTE, but mid-corner speed, you're actually not a million miles apart, right? Which is perfect. It's kind of what you want. In this, obviously the LMDHs are just vastly superior in speed in pretty much every way versus the GT3s. But I do think they get more of that in the early stages in leaving the corner, courtesy of that hybrid, which is what you want when you're coming through traffic. And with there being so many straights and stuff around here, it does make things, I'm not going to say easy, but I would say easier than some other places that are tight and twisty. Like, I mean, if we compare this, like, I don't know, going racing at Barber Motorsports Park, which I still want to see back on the calendar.
I was going to say VIR, because I'm still hoping that we end up going to VIR at some point. I just did a broadcast earlier this week at the Grand West layout, you know, which is the one that has the corner name that we're not allowed to say.
Yep.
Yes. Really wonderful layout, but not suitable for anything bigger than probably an M1. I think, and even that would be pushing it. As in GT3, there are a couple of ducks and dives. It's not really happening just yet, but I get the sense that with your LMDH leader funneling through the kink and the GT3s just coming through Bill Mitchell Bend, lap traffic is only a lap or so away.
Surely it is this lap. There's some of the ducking and weaving. I think Phil Denez has been pushed back a couple of positions because he's gone behind Luca Keita and Tom Burns, as Ascari Rene is starting to feel the pressure from Tom Burns as well, and Sam Coiter was feeling the pressure from that BS competition car. It is 100% this lap that we are going to see that pass through traffic, as you can see there on the map, the GT3s are just going through T1 now. The LMDHs are on the rise up and over the start-finish straight, which means we should be seeing them lapping every sort of 6 or so laps, which is quite a few, basically every 10 minutes. That's pretty quick.
I'm looking forward to this one. I was impressed, I think, overall by what we've seen with traffic management so far this series. It doesn't mean we haven't seen our moments of madness. That always tends to happen, because these are 2-hour sprints. These are not 24-hour endurance races. We've had this discussion about what really is an endurance race in the past before. I think we can both agree this is a short one, though. No, this is, I mean, I think this kind of deserves its own title. We've got sprint and endurance, and then you've got chaos. Sprint? No, chaos. Oh, you just want to call it chaos, okay.
I just want to call it chaos. That is the class of racing. Here we go then. So we get to see this on board with Owen Carroll. This is going to be very interesting, getting back to the rear end of the Valkyrie car, and at the worst point of the track as well, because not only have you got to go through the carousel around the outside where all these GT3s are going to be pushing out to the left-hand side on the exit, you've got to time it getting back in and then up and under the inside, going up towards the fast kink.
I'm scared, and into the kink. Owen Carroll decides that yes, he's got some brakes and the pedals work in both directions. You've got to be so heads up this first time through, but already you can see it's brought in Matt Farrow and that Williams eSports car back into contention. Shivi Shabo in the second Apex Racing Academy car being funneled through as well. Hasn't really checked up the GT3s in the way that I had necessarily expected, but we've still got a long way to go. We're only halfway through the choo-choo train.
Yeah, that was a little scary. Thankfully, though, you get to have a little bit of a breather now. You get to clear off as many as possible. You might actually see quite a lot of them basically dump the hybrid and try and get past as many of these cars up towards turn 1 as possible. I do get the feeling that Alex Gao will only have sort of 6 or 7, maybe even 5 cars left to go before clearing the front of the GT3 cars, and that will be done way before they get down towards turn 5.
That was one of your Urano LMDHs absolutely sending it as we almost go 3 wide down through turn 3. I think one of the red line cars deciding that yes, he did need to stay in line, and maybe Tom Burns is now going to be compromised as they funnel through. They're just going all sorts of helter-skelter. They were definitely 3 wide behind. I don't even know where we should be looking.
Yeah, this is, like you say, a little bit sketchy, but this has been massive for the Please Hire Jaden Ladick team. 1.1 seconds now is the clearance. They're pulling away from the Apex Racing Academy as it's getting sketchy.
Elias Riker trying to take advantage and move up to second, and he's able to do so, bullying Gianni Vecchio out of that spot. Labigra now down to 4th position off the podium as well. It works in both directions. It's not just the LMDHs trying to take advantage of the traffic. Smart GT3s will be doing the same as well.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, like you say, it's terrible. I saw the Urano, I think they nearly cleared off. I think it might have been the Apex Racing team car going into the carousel. So easy to misjudge. There might have even been a touch of contact there to the tyre bag racing car. I'm not 100% sure, but going up towards the King, I believe there might have been a little tap side to side between one of the LMDHs coming through there.
I do know there was a moment that sort of... Oh, as that's PGZ and Jonas Rutten off the track, but back on in control. Fortunately not sliding the rear end around too much, but into Canada corner. Is it going to continue?
New leader in GT3, Elias Riker has managed to make his way through and take over the race lead. There's a couple of issues here coming from Matti Siepeler. We do have a new race leader in the form of BS competition. There's another snap, and this could be dropping down. You can see there's a bit of damage over the rear end. I am absolutely sure there's been a hit of some description to the 488.
But you could see that Vecchio electing to just bump Siepeler. He recognized that with LMDH just still filtering on through, better to not try and take it 2 and 3 wide, better to just let them focus on pulling away maybe from those behind. We'll get a look at everything that happened. Tom Burns, by the way, has had to come down to pit lane, so one of the 3 red line cars finding themselves with some sort of an issue. We're not done with traffic just yet, though.
I'm just going to say, by the way, because I have done a little bit of investigating, it was the SSC Movano Corsa Rosso car. That was the one that's being driven by Sasha Gula back towards the back end of the top 10 that made... I would not put that on then. Made a brief touch with the back of tyre bag racing on the exit of the hairpin. Oh my goodness! Oh, sorry, the exit of the kink.
So this was Obsidian Racing, and we'll just jump on board with them. They were 3 wide, weren't they?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're in an LMDH, when you're going around the outside of a corner like that, you are asking for trouble.
Absolutely.
Because, that GT3 has only got a certain amount of grip, and you are asking them mid-corner to scrub off more speed to account for your bold judgment, shall we say. So
the damage has already been done, because you can see it on the back.
It was just out of the carousel. It was just out of the carousel. I do apologise.
And now we'll take a quick look at the move as well. And this side, I'm not sure if the damage is necessarily slowing him down, or if he maybe decided that he didn't want to lead anymore. We'll go all the way back and see if we can pick it up here.
You'll see it literally. Watch the SSC Movano Corsa car going around the outside. Not this one, the next one. Just there.
Oh.
Bang. It is. I would not blame them for that. I mean, I blame them for giving it a go, because that, again, not the wisest place to go for a mid around the outside. But I mean, yeah, I think there was. It was touch and go.
Agree. You can see on the track map just how much they're already separated, by the way. Not in terms of GT3, because that is still a choo-choo train.
Oh, goodness me.
There is no draft separation whatsoever, which is remarkable. It's incredible.
That was the Arjuna's boring alarm, by the way. Obviously, we're just testing a...
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
No, I had it go off. It wasn't even that loud. I'm very disappointed.
Apparently, the UK doesn't think that their emergency alarms need to be that loud, as it is Yuk de Licht and Danny Shivishaba that swap around in towards turn 5. Now, Urano slowly working their way forward. Dominic Hoffman gets past Sasha Gorla in one of your SRC Movano cars as well, but I was very much saying that Urano had figured this car out. We were talking championship standings, singing their praises, saying they'd be the one to beat. They struggled in qualifying again.
Yeah, not going to lie, I would have fallen asleep through that alarm. There's no way that would have woken me up. So if we did have an emergency in this country, that's not going to make the blindest bit of difference. If it's not interrupting our broadcast, then there you go.
It's clearly not good enough.
No. But either way, we do have a fantastic race going. That's what we're more interested in as we say it.
We have a pile-up down at turn 5, and guess what? It's 2 PGZ cars that get tangled up here. I can only imagine what Paglo Stream is saying right now.
Oopsie daisy, something in that vein potentially. I don't. Which ones was
it?
That?
Would have been Rico
high?
Wenzel and Jonas Rutten, because we already had Anjan Amuthingen some sort of issue of his own. I'm sure that was the Dr. Skirt special. Here we go, down the hill.
Let's try and investigate all of this. There was contact behind.
Oh my days.
Oh
my days.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's PGZ on PGZ on PGZ murder.
That is unbelievable classic. I remember watching a race at Spa. It was the second season, the R52 GT Pro Series, and there was 4 RHGs, of which all 4 got collected in the same crash. It was pretty bad. That is up there with that. Just very unfortunate.
To be fair, Dr. Skirt, the one who tagged into Rutan, I think that was, couldn't really go anywhere.
It was a large calamity of errors, shall we say. They'll be into the pit lane probably quite early after an incident like that. Yeah. I mean, like I say, there will be broken suspension in there, and yeah, it's just not tidy. Is what it is. Those things happen.
So about 20 minutes into this one, about halfway through the fuel window for the LMDHs, but of course we expect 3 pit stops, rather 3 stints out of them, 2 pit stops in effect, and then for the GT3s it's just the one. That's aggressive from Vecchio to the inside of Matti Siepela's tire bag racing car, and it's just the swap rounds of basically running in line. Siepela doesn't fight it. Vecchio up to second. I am curious how much that damage will be impacting the handling of the 488, though.
I doubt much.
It was the left rear got walloped, though.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, but like, kind of look at the damage on the car. Yeah, I know it's bent in quite a bit at the back, but it's almost like, I don't think it would be that bad. It's probably giving it a little bit more pointy. Yeah, just, especially going through somewhere like the carousel, might just let the rear end slide around a little more. I've got to say, by the way, smart driving from Gianni Vecchio there to have not gone for a move straight away. You pointed out, like, would rather bump draft the tire bag racing car a little bit more and just push it up to stop Elias Riker trying to clear off here, and then time the move. Much smarter way of playing this race.
Racecraft. Sometimes it's not always the smartest thing to go for the move as much as it may hurt a racing driver's sensibilities. That, I think, is probably the best way to put it. I think what we need to do is, we didn't get a look at what happened up towards turn number 1 at the very start of the race. So why don't we go and take a look at this distinct, well, self-inflicted mistake, unfortunately, there.
Yep, and that is all the way out to the barrier, so you can tell that was out pretty fast. Yeah, just in too quick. I think we've all done that.
We've all done that. Fortunately, he didn't have total brake failure. You've seen that video, right? Exit of turn 1, car just shooting off.
Which one?
I've only seen the one, to be honest, but I'm sure there's many. We might add to that, because Sasha Gorla on the exit of the carousel. That's a dangerous place to be stationary.
Yeah, that was like literally right in the middle of the firing line on the exit. Anyone running wide, you do also have a little bit of target fixation coming out of there. So thankfully, no one actually committed fully on that. Let's take a look.
Oh!
Ow.
Self-inflicted. That is a weird one, because that is abnormal in this car, I would think, but...
Is that it was the curb. Got on
right.
Like, it was just that tiny bit of the curb. Might have been sliding a little bit onto it as well, and it just allowed it to spin around. Been another switch here as well, was Matti Siepela drops back yet another position. This one, Chris Lullum making his way past. And so there are a few switches.
Elvis Rankin got past Florian Lebiger as well. R8G continuing to drop backwards, so it's interesting to note how different teams are playing it out. I'm wondering if we're thinking strategies. Try and get on the horn to the Apex Racing team, maybe George Simmons, Mark Tranter, see what information, insights they'll be able to feed over to us. Also, probably a similar question that we do have to ask at some point about LMDH, because there are 4 cars after that first cycle through traffic still in contention. We're only a lap or 2 away from once again diving back into the really heavy traffic, which now does see the GT3 field separated, courtesy of Team PGZ's moment down at turn number 5. But this next pass is going to set us up into that pit stop cycle.
Yeah, I think, by the way, Joop de Ligt's actually been setting some decent times from what I've been seeing. Did have a little look. Was closing down. It's sort of a couple of tenths here, a tenth and a bit there. Nothing major, but as much as we're saying 4 for the race lead right now, I would feel it would be a little harsh to rule out the 92, which also will most likely drag to some description the Apex Racing Academy 199 into it as well, especially when it comes to passes through traffic. As we've said before, when it comes to that passing through traffic, if there's one or two of you, you will navigate traffic a lot faster than if there is a big group of 4 or 5, because you're not trying to navigate it together, but it just causes some problems.
Would you rather be number 1 or number 4 in this situation in traffic?
4.
I agree. I personally agree, which I think is something that not many other people would agree with. Johnny Vecchio down the inside into turn number 5, new race leader in GT3.
Yeah, certainly so. Is kind of seen them marching their way forward a little bit throughout this race, one bit at a time. Don't think it matters too much right now, purely based on the fuel saving. They'll be running to a number. I mean, you can see the entire train, which is going all the way back to the big red machine. Where are they presently in the race?
12th.
12. Oh,
Labigra
RHG
off into the kitty litter, and after qualifying so well as maybe their first great qualifying performance of their season, it just did not get going for Florian Labigra today.
Let's be honest, into that corner. That was surely assisted.
Yes.
yes, it was. Maxime Brienne, straight down the inside. Nice.
Now, okay, the angle isn't great. We should look from probably up above. It is a send. He was never alongside.
Pretty much a slam dunk.
Yeah. Remember, live race control. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, like I say, we do love ourselves a bit of the Apex Racing team and a Maxime Brienne. You've got to. You really have to. Yeah, I'm not sure RHG and Florian Labigra will.
No.
After that. So, unfortunately, I can see that being an absolute slam dunk as the LMDHs begin yet another pass through traffic just over the horizon.
I think the leaders actually are about to dispatch of the first pass of traffic, actually, as that was our Arnage competition, just blocking off the path of the police hired Jaden Lady. We've got to make sure we say that team name as much as possible, just to make sure that Jaden Lady gets hired.
Well, yeah, apparently so.
If he does not get hired within a week of this broadcast, we have failed.
Well, I mean, there's one really good way of advertising a driver and getting them hired, and that is by winning the race.
Especially when they're not even in the car.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, but let's be honest, wouldn't that be a little bit egotistical, me driving around a car that says please hire Lewis McGlade?
But if it's not just you, remember, if it's you and me sharing a car, let's say I've got a team, are we really going to say please hire us, please hire me? No, please hire Lewis is the proper team name.
Please hire Lewis McGlade. Well, that is my team name. We're going to do an endurance. We're going to do a 5-man endurance.
You, me, Cam, Ewan
and
Zach.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Ewan said he was up for it the other day, by the way.
He doesn't have a wheel. He doesn't have a computer.
He said he was well up for it the other day.
Okay. Which endurance race are we talking about? What?
Not a clue.
I mean, we're not putting them out at the Nordschleife, unfortunately. I don't think I trust them.
Well,
I don't trust myself.
I trust you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've seen your ability to use the fast repair.
I've seen your ability to fail to use pit lane.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Guess who's gone off the track again?
Oh no.
That is is that a crabbing team PGZ car?
That's, look at the rear right on that. Rear left, sorry.
That is broken. That is as toasted as they get. And now that's all 3 Team PGZ cars that are going to drop down the back. Now, I don't actually take any joy in it. It's just enjoyable because now I'll get some content to go and watch when I flick through Pablo's stream later.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm not really enjoying it, but I can hear you. I can hear the smile that you've got going on there.
Entertainment.
So, I mean, each to their own, mate. Each to their own. So, looking back in the GT3 category, Tyre Bag Racing and Matty Seepolo, of that pass through traffic, does seem to have lost the touch just a little bit of the rear end of Lullen's car. And so that could actually be really, really big. If there's been any fuel saving going on from them, burn it now to keep up, basically.
If PGZ would like to get the Arjuna bias favourably shifted towards them, there's one guaranteed way to do that, and everyone knows what it is.
Do we?
Just t-shirts.
T-shirts, yeah, no, t-shirts or hoodies. Hoodies are good.
Oh, hoodies are good. Yes, that Brabham Esports hoodie has been a staple
who are you
on
representing
me.
at the moment?
Bayern Munich.
Oh dear.
I'm wearing a very old, when I say old, this is genuinely probably 12 years old, Bayern Munich jersey right now.
Right. That is older than most people on this grid.
Oh, don't say, oh no.
That's not true.
No, that is not true, fortunately, but it's so close to being true.
It's, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Do you want to see how that PGZ car befell its issues?
I would love to.
Because unfortunately, Dr. Skirt got Augustin Canapino there. Now, I love myself a bit of Augustin Canapino. That was not on.
No. But I'm sure PGZ will receive their fair amount of hate on social media for that.
No, because there was no broadcast that was, saying the entire country.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, shout out to Augustin Canapino, by the way.
I will take credit for having... as that's Matti Siepola, who was very much escorted wide, but in true Finnish style, look at that drifting to keep it back under control.
Yeah, no, that was pretty handy, pretty scary, of course. Dropping that back behind Elvis Rankin, Maxim Briant might go for a move up towards T1. Yeah,
escorted wide.
That was not great, was it?
This is the thing that a lot of prototype drivers forget, is that
other people are on track.
A GT3 car can't also just not turn in. Like, just look, he'd already committed by the time Obsidian had sent it down the inside.
Shocking. That is shocking.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I'd just say not on.
This is where, as I've always said in this style of racing, I will always pick the higher category, because in the higher category, it's not the fact of my driving ability is better than anyone in the GT3, so I must take the higher category. Not even remotely. It's the fact of I think that the higher category generally have an easier job of it, because it's their responsibility through traffic, which means that the onus is on you with how much risk you want to take. When you're a GT3, you just have to accept that the LMDHs, some might take quite a bit of risk getting past you, and you have to be okay with that.
Just a tad. By the way, look at that gap. Gianni Vecchio has not just pulled to the front, he's pulled a 2-second advantage. You say gone. I wonder if this is fuel mileage stuff that is now being borne out, because we're, halfway through this first hour of the race, halfway through for the GT3 cars, their fuel window. What's Gianni Vecchio got cooking under his sleeve?
Was cooking with Gianni Vecchio.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. No, I think like the big thing is that maybe he'd saved a decent amount of fuel, right? And then through the lap traffic, this is where you have to be ready to go at any point in endurance racing like this. Has seen through traffic that gap's gone out to like 1, maybe 1.5 seconds, and has thought, now, go now, and that's when you kind of pull those margins that are almost too big to overcome. I'm not saying that is the case, but it is dangerously close.
To your point on being prototype or GT, what drivers prefer to be safer in traffic, I commentated on Tommy Milner yesterday here on iRacing, who is of course known for being a GT racer. Guess what class he was in?
Probably the highest category.
He was in the prototypes, and so we actually interviewed him. And so you know what was really interesting to hear him say? He has got so much PTSD from prototypes sending it on him in the real world that he was just not able to do it in the virtual world.
Yeah, no, that is, but no, because this is the thing is that like, so sim racers all pretty much know each other, right?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them are mates. Or, at least we're all sharing discords with each other, right? Which all that went through my mind when I was doing it, because obviously, I've done championship stuff where I've been in LMP1, and all that was going through my mind is I will have to pay for this later if I send one down the inside and completely misjudge it. And so I was always a lot more patient and a lot more calm in traffic than most.
Right.
Except against one guy who I thought I would send it down the inside of him every occasion. Not because he was a mate or anything, just because I was like, oh, well, he's got a funny name, I'll do it on him. Turns out he is my team boss now. So, whoops.
Who was it?
Edmund Trevelyan Johnson.
Okay. I was wondering, because I didn't think Ed had driven much.
He did drive back then.
Back in the day?
This was 8 years ago.
Wow. You are showing your age. By the way, you're LMDH leaders still 4 cars. You pointed out that Delict had been slightly closing. It's stagnated. He's been able to close here and there, but it's still 2.8, 2.9 seconds.
I mean, he's closed another second since the last time we checked it out, because he was 5.2 off of the race lead.
Last time we checked.
Well, at least the last time I saw it was 5. It was in the 5-second margin. So that last pass through traffic, the Apex the Urano Esports Huawei car and the Apex Racing Academy car have closed in around half a second to a second. Don't get me wrong, it is not. But what you're doing is you're dragging yourself into the mix for that first round of pit stops, which shouldn't be too long away from the LMDHs.
Yeah, we're probably, 8 minutes or so. Remember, you spent a decent amount of time full throttle around this track, and unlike in the real world, we don't have the energy budget concept to think about, because my head hurts enough thinking about fuel. I don't need to think about energy.
It's the one thing that I have almost a little against when a lot of these series and stuff bring in some form of hybrid. Is it's just kind of for me, I'm just kind of use what you get. Simple as that. Just use what you have. I do get why you would, but it's more like it's adding in so much extra complication.
It feels more complicated than when in the peak LMP1 days. You remember we had 8 megajoule and 6. We had different megajoule capacity hybrid cars, but they got balanced separately. It feels more complicated than those days.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I still can't even get around my head around. Well, I can, but the ruling as to how the hybrid works in British touring cars.
Yes, yes. By the way, you know what is being proved right here, right now?
What?
That RaceSpot stickers help you win.
They do, and that is why I don't have any RaceSpot stickers on my car.
So clearly, what we need to do is get RaceSpot stickers actually printed so we can put them on our real-world cars, and then when we get pulled over by the police, we just say, but we're RaceSpot.
I've got RaceSpot stickers. Yeah, no.
Makes us too fast. We can't help it.
Do we have... Is there a RaceSpot livery?
Technically, yes. Remember, we did the commentators race.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, because you were too busy, too important, doing something else.
I can't remember what I was doing.
I don't remember either, to be honest.
It might have been GB3 and GB4.
Probably. You would have been there, because I think we got Cam Roger, if I remember correctly, racing. We didn't get Zach Sweeney. That was disappointing. Especially given that Zach Sweeney, has actually done stuff in the virtual world. He could have represented RaceSpot well.
No, I don't think Zach's that fast, actually. As much as he's done decent competitions. That's brutal.
Throw him straight under the bus.
No, I don't. I reckon I could outpace Zach.
Let's go back to Augustin Canapino, by the way, for a second, and give him a shout out, because I was one that actually had some optimism for his debut season. Now, as someone who was a road course and a Formula One fan who converted into IndyCar, I appreciate what a difficult challenge of a skill set switch that is. But I very much saw him in a similar vein to Scott McLaughlin. Look where Scotty is now. And Scotty, someone that got his chops initially on iRacing in the Dallara IR18 and DW12. Augustin's been pretty handy, even though that's a car with no power steering.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Augustin Canapino's done a lot when it comes to touring cars. I think he did a couple of rounds of Stock Car Brazil as well. And things like that, variations of that in Argentina. Now, I first raced Augustin Canapino in sim racing 10 years ago, because he did various things in sim racing back in 2013. And even some stuff a little before that, but I've been punted off the track by Augustin Canapino. That's my claim to fame with him. I'm like, we did quite a lot of touring car racing.
I was going to say,
you can imagine how well that went.
Yeah.
But no, obviously, great guy. Great to see him on the world stage in IndyCar, and also impressing us here in BMW M SIM competition by absolutely launching one down the inside, going into the kink, as we see a bit of a switch for third place in the LMDH category. Williams Esports Mara getting past BS Turner, and also look who's joining the scene.
He's coming.
So they're closing in.
He is. This cycle of traffic, 2.5 seconds lost just this lap, from what I can tell, by Alex Gall. Traffic gives and it just takes. It's taken a lot from Pedro Sanchez Albert as well. To your point on Canapino, I actually found him first through sim racing. through Williams Esports, which I found so fascinating. And so getting to see him there, the fan club that always shows up in YouTube chat when he's racing, yeah, it's been great to see him jumping over into America. Also someone that, by the way, has run in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, if I remember correctly, has raced in the LMP2 class with Goss before, so brings...
I mean, he's more popular than us.
Oh, yes.
That's for sure.
They put my face yesterday on the Porsche Esports Super Cup during the race, and I wondered, can we put anyone else's face up, because they're more important.
Yeah, if there was anyone's face that we wanted to see in that race, it wasn't yours.
No, definitely.
But that's absolutely fine. This is getting a little sketchy to traffic as they pass the big red machine up and under the bridge. As we can see, looking at Matt Farrow in here, you can see Pedro Sanchez-Albert behind, and then Joop de Ligt is now 1.4 seconds off of the race lead. But this is where that speed through traffic will start to slow down. That's a massive send.
Sanchez-Albert trying to take advantage. He might be able to get back past Farrow, but he's going to squeeze the Williams Esports car almost off into the grass. They will tangle. It was inevitable, trying to go 3 wide through the carousel. BS Turner off into the kitty litter as well.
Yeah, that had a solid 0% chance of working there. That was very, very silly. I mean, silly from who is a question that can only be answered by seeing that from replay and up above. But it was silly. that's all we could tell. The GT3s that kind of just trying to navigate their way through all that. I think there might have been a little bit more contact going through there with the Apex Racing team potentially being squeezed off at Canada Corner.
I think Maxime Briant just lost a bit of time, all things considered. This is the cycle through traffic that has shaken things up the most, and now Briant continuing to be pressed through that final corner straight away. Let's see if we can take a look from up above. We need to start, though, by looking at the setup by Pedro Sanchez-Albert, because I tell you what, he saw a move that not many would have. There was contact with that pink BMW as well, but that's beside the point. It's here under the bridge where it all starts to kick on off. They'd already started making contact before, to be honest. They're playing ping pong before they get under the bridge.
I will say it's slightly more on the BS Turner car, but I've got to say, if I'm Matt Farrow right now I'm thinking, nope, back out of it. I get that you're fully, like, he was fully alongside, but all that will be going through my mind is we've got an hour and 20 minutes left of this race. Like, let's play that card, and didn't, and paid the price for it. Unfortunately, that is how it goes. If you're asking a serious amount of risk, taking it 3 wide around the outside there. Sure, going through the middle for Pedro Sanchez-Albert probably is not the wisest call at all, but you know where it's going to end, and it is probably going to be in that gravel trap. It
has very much, by the way, stretched things up here in the GTPs, in the GT3s as well. 3.5 seconds now splits. Please hire Jaden Ladick from the Apex Racing Academy. De Ligt is now up to 3rd, courtesy of the 2 incidents in front. Chivy Shabo's trying to fend off Vad Kimichev as we check in with them, heading out in towards Canada Corner. Pit stops underway. We saw Squadra Canapino, which is not just Augustin Canapino, by the way, but Matthias Canapino. Pearson's Esports, Simsa Obsidian, and then Race Clutch, who I think had a bit of a tumultuous couple of laps, because they are the only car 1 lap down and well and truly separated from the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's I was going to say everyone's surely going to be in this time. So we do have our race leads in. This is kind of like the interesting thing, because obviously in a 2-hour race, you have 2 drivers, but you're making 2 pit stops. You've got 3 stints in this race. Who does what? It's not as simple as it is in the GT3 category. One driver does an hour, you get out, and then the second driver does the next hour. That's nice and simple. That's easy, quick maths. In LMDH, there's a lot more room for strategy. It's a lot more open and a lot more varied, which is what I love about it.
Interesting to note that Dion Fiallo has gone for a 23rd lap. He's the only driver to extend that far. See how it plays out for him in terms of the pit stop cycle. There is, of course, though, the rest of your LMDH classes. They're up on the Jackson, seemingly getting tires. Don't think we have any driver changes this cycle through. It's all going to happen then in that next pit stop phase. 30 seconds and counting. Alex Gall waits for the signal, drops and rolls clear of the rest of the field. But actually one of the longer pit stop times that we had through the course of the field.
Yeah, I wonder if, like I say, the gap between Gal and Carroll is still around that 2-second margin. Joop de Ligt's within a second to the Apex Racing Academy car, but it was a comfortable sequence there from Gal. Yes, maybe a little bit longer stationary, maybe a little bit extra fuel going. Maybe it's more that it was the fuel, because obviously you're just going to fill the tank to max, right? Probably then had a little more fuel burnt in that first stint, and so obviously that explains a little bit longer stationary time, but all things considered, nothing too bad.
So I did see a question, by the way, in the RaceSpotTV YouTube chat. If you're either watching there on the iRacing Esports Network, do let us know. Keep in touch with us on what you think about this race. Lewis, what is your favourite BMW of all time? Now,
oh,
I can specify. I can make it a little bit more specific for you if you want. Favorite BMW race car of all time?
Yeah, I mean that is the Group 5 M1.
Good choice.
To be fair, a Group 5 car, and I'm just all over. I can't get over that era of race cars.
There are a few eras that will forever live on, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Group E and rallying, for example, as well.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of other like BMW race cars that I've absolutely fallen in love with. I'm not really sure there's actually like that many. I have a soft spot for that. I do really quite like the M8. I'm not Ewan O'Leary. I don't have a soft spot for the Z4. No, thank you.
I agree. I agree.
The old Batmobile there. No, I don't. I don't know.
So,
great question though. What about you?
Is it it's not technically the Group 5. The M1 Pro car, that wasn't a Group 5, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
That when you said M1, that's why I'm not sure, because that is, I think, mine, as Dion Fiallo filters out behind Matt Farrow, who is behind Pedro Sanchez Albert. I wonder what Race Control thinks about that tussle between the 96 and the 6. But if you're curious what Race Control thought about the other stuff, well, get back to that. Owen Carroll slams himself under the cheese bridge.
How did he get there?
Contact, gotta be.
There is no other way that you would. I mean, that said, I did see someone once in Le Mans Virtual Drive into the bridge at Sebring, going around the Big Bend, just because I switched off. This is definitely not in that case. It was Valkyrie. And so the thing was, the Valkyrie car moved over, almost trying to say, like, obviously you take that racing line. But one of the worst things you can do, so you see going right and then going left, Owen Carroll still commits to the left, which was silly. I mean, it's silly from two people.
It's a racing
I'll be
incident.
Honest. Absolutely.
It's so unfortunate. It's
absolutely.
It's where we always talk about the fact that you can't learn in a classroom how to study traffic, because you'll get to a situation like that, and unfortunately you'll have no idea what to do. Not saying Owen Carroll had no idea what to do. I think he was doing the right thing, all things considered. But now his teammate won't jump into the car. Owen Carroll's going to feel disappointed because he definitely had the speed here today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like I say, it is absolutely racing incident. It's just a silly misjudgment from the pair. But does this mean that there is still potential for a Urano Esports third consecutive win? At this point, is there the opportunity for a 1-2-3? They're presently running second, third, and fourth. Where do they keep coming from? Seriously.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because let's show you where they have come from in this particular race. All outside of the top 5. In the case of the number 90 machine, Dominic Hoffman again started outside the top 10.
Yeah, and again, still finding their way up the order. They have something in this car. Like I said, this car is still relatively new to the iRacing platform, and so when you have that, especially with hybrid and stuff like that, there are a lot of things that you have to learn and understand. And clearly, Urano understand things on this car better than any other team on the platform right now. The fact that, yes, they might not have the speed of some other teams in, say, qualifying, they always have the race pace.
They haven't sent you a T-shirt yet, have they?
No.
Okay, so all this praise is genuinely justified.
I know, I'm furious.
I'm just making sure everyone's aware of how it works here on RaceSpot. Now, race control penalties, I will get back to it, because I was just about to read them out before Carroll's what do we call that? Issue. Yeah, that's probably the best way. 5 seconds for the 124. Now, I'm trying to figure out which car is the 124. That's Team PGZ's Jonas Rooted, so turn 5 smash. That's expected. More saliently, though, 5 seconds for the number 98 car, which is Maxime Brient's Apex Racing Team machine that sits in 6th spot.
Yeah, that was obviously for detonating Florian Lebigra's chances of getting anything from the GT3 category today. What was the penalty again, sorry?
5 seconds. Also 10 seconds has come down on Mr. Canapino.
Yeah, that is no shot. I'm going to say, I mean, again, it's probably in line. I don't want to say anything about race control or whatever. I would be like, that's a little light. Because the
thing to remember is, I will just say, iRacing official session. Everyone is free to enter these races. Race control is done post-race with time penalties and stuff.
Yes.
Just want to make sure everyone's clear on that when we're talking 5, 10, whatever seconds. Just all on the same page.
Yeah, you can't give a drive-through or anything like that. That doesn't work in this.
So let's go over to Sanchez Albert and Matt Farrow's tussle. Whose fault do you think that was?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say if I'm going to put the blame on anyone in it, I would probably lean it a little bit more towards Pedro Sanchez Albert. But
good, because that's what race control has decided to.
Like, this is the thing, is that, like, I'm kind of sat there being like, the things that of what Farrow did wrong there for me is not backing out, but like that's like his decision, and that's more of like taking it from a wiser point of view of backing out of it and then not getting involved in the incident. The incident though was really instigated from trying to go through the middle.
So 5 seconds for Pedro Sanchez Albert, which now we have seen in the BMW Sim GT Cup last year is not always going to signify that you're not going to win the race. Rainer Talvar back at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, 5-second penalty. Second half of the race, pulled out, what was it, a 10-second gap? So doubled what he needed in the end. Don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, at least right here, right now. Alex Gall is doing a sterling job to show off the resume of Jaden Ladick in the Police Hire Jaden Ladick machine, because he's actually building that gap back up now to Delict now that they're in clean air once again.
Maybe not doing the correct service to the team name there, because it might be Alex Gall that might get hired, to be honest.
What about Arturo Melgar?
At this rate? Yeah, I know. Well, we'll have to wait and see when Arturo Melgar gets in the car, because at the moment, we've not seen him, so we don't know if Arturo Melgar deserves to be hired right now. But they're doing great. They're doing great work advertising for the last 50 minutes. So good for them.
Florian Husper is watching, by the way, Lewis. So he has confirmed there was also a Group 5 version of the M1. So clearly we are talking about two different cars.
Yeah. Because I distinctly remember all my Group 5 racing. There's been a bit. I will say though, not my favourite Group 5 car. That's fine. Do you know what? One BMW that I didn't say, and it was particularly the first season that was done, but it was the new BMW. I think is it the 330, whatever it is, the British touring car BMW. I think that looked, especially in the first season it was in the livery they had it in, when it was white. I actually thought it looked so good.
Is this the hatchback?
No.
Now, I will have to go and figure out which one you're looking at, talking about. Iku
I think it came in 2015, maybe.
Okay, 2015, that helps. Iku Maricala has gone big brain on us, by the way.
Okay.
He is postulating that the RaceSpot logos on the side of the car, in conjunction with the team name, is really that Jaden Ladick has decided that he does not want to be driving anymore and wants to join us in the commentary
booth. That does make, please hire.
What's happening with Gianni Vecchio?
Timing, maybe?
He was distinctly off of timing for about a good 10 seconds there.
Yeah, that was a little scary, but I think everything's fine. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen again.
No. We haven't really talked much about the GT3 since the pit stop cycle for LMDH, but it's now Redline cantering away. And when I say cantering, I mean, look at that margin back to PS competition. It's almost 5 full seconds. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the BMW that I was thinking of was not 2015 at all. It was 2019.
2019.
Not quite as old as I think. I just think it looks really good. So, each to their own. I think it's actually officially backed by BMW as well, isn't it?
The
West Surrey Racing.
The actual car itself.
Yeah, I think it's actually
sure.
backed. The West Surrey Racing, whatever they're backed.
So you know what actually might be my favorite BMW of all time, though.
Okay,
The
I'm
M
ready.
Hybrid V8. I actually really love the look of it. Yeah, genuinely.
Really?
I think it's the best looking of the LMDHs.
Really?
Yes.
Whew.
You've seen my Artifact Racing livery, right?
Whew.
You know where my tastes skew to.
I mean, that is mad, though. That is mad. I mean, I will say, I don't know. I think its nostrils are still a little too big, but it is very BMW. Obviously, the M6.
No, I never liked it. My uncle actually had an M6. Lovely car.
Did you not? Wow.
But as a race car, I didn't like it that much. I prefer the Z4.
Oh, no.
I won Bathurst in the Z4. That's probably why I like it so much.
Any of the BMWs that were in the Class 1 DTM cars? Boom. That is just that's a win for me. They all just looked
Class
so
1
good.
was a good class, apart from the fact that a good spec, other than the fact that it was so expensive.
So expensive for what it was, yeah, and it was so specific. Yeah,
it was so specific.
It is a big shame about Class 1, because as much as I do still watch DTM, do still pay attention, obviously, love it and all that. The fact that it's GT3s, I love the fact that the grid's big, but it is just another GT3 category.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. And which is why it's, especially in Germany, right, with the fact that what happened with DTM Trophy.
Big shame.
Yeah, everything there is just, it's consolidation rather than unique stuff, which is kind of a shame. I will just clarify as well, because I got last year at Daytona, when I said the BS Turner livery I think was my favorite livery of all time, which I still maintain it is. It's still one of my favorite liveries of all time. This is not my BMW bias here today when I say that I think the LMDH, this is my favorite LMDH car. Genuinely, I think this is my favorite one. Really interesting story, though, coming out of Long Beach. I'm not sure if you read this, Lewis, but they were struggling a little bit with the software in the car. So what did they do? They rewrote the entire software.
Oh, brilliant. That took about 5 minutes.
But I find it really interesting, because I was having a conversation, I think, with Will Chadwick, who's in our YouTube chat now, about how technology, is it making race cars less human? To which I say, no, it is not. These cars come with booklets that you've got to figure out the best settings to get out of the car. We're talking about drivers, saying we need the software rewritten to make us able to go fast, and then them going to do that. The software works with the human works with the software. It's all just, again, still the conjunction of man and machine. Yeah, but there is one problem that this is a very small issue and doesn't actually affect the modern world of motorsport, but it is actually an interesting point that when you think about it, and this actually came from a discussion and a point that Martin Haven brought up like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was in the first season of Le Mans Virtual. But we were having a chat before around one of the weekends. He was saying the problem with modern motorsports and modern F1 cars is that outside of the current season, and then various media events for the next few years, you will never see these cars out on track again. And it is the same with LMDHs and hypercars and all that kind of stuff. It is the same with all of those. Because they are so technical and so hard to figure out, and so all the software is so specific that, let's say, for example, in 50 years' time, you've got an absolute boatload of money from being a great commentator. Dream world we're living in right now. That's fine. But you go, I'm going to buy that car. I'm going to buy the BMW M Hybrid. Yes. I'm going to buy it. You will have to hire specialists with the software just to handle that part so that you can take it around the track. Meanwhile, like old, let's say 1990s, even earlier 2000s F1 cars can still be run. Obviously you need a lot of expertise and stuff around them, but theoretically speaking, you can just buy one and take it on track days. It is perfectly fine and valid. But all the modern cars that we are racing now will not become classics because they are too hard to run. You said something there, though, that I think shows what the change is going to be. You said that expertise. Even old cars, no matter which era you go to, you still need the expertise. That expertise is still going to be required for the modern cars at the end of the day, because they still have, at least for now, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, we still have the internal combustion engine that survives for a little bit more time. But you're going to then have, augmented to that staff, potentially, that was a bit of a scary moment with Valkyrie again, this time with the BS Turner car. You'll have the software experts who come and help in as well.
It becomes so much more expensive.
Yes, what I was going to say is it becomes so much more expensive. We'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, software can be open sourced as well. It doesn't have to be expensive. So that is a discussion to be had much further down the line. Talking of down the line, though, well, up the line in this case, it's a swap for the race lead. It's Delict that's gotten past Alex Gall as they maneuver through traffic once again. Yeah,
whilst we were completely waffling on about where motorsport is going and why some cars won't be classics. It was only about 30 seconds
ago, it's fine.
Delict has, we're just really bad at it, it's fine. Delict making his way up, this is down into turn 5. It'll be a little look down the inside, and Urano. Oh, okay, I was going to say Alex Gall did not fight that at all. Did a little bit towards the apex, but I think was more expecting there not to be a move. I don't know, I don't feel that was as hard of a fight as it could have been.
No, but it seemed like there was some tension there. Even on the exit of that Corvette bridge up the hill, did seem a little bit like there was something going on, as I did hear some contact in the background there. I'm not sure who that was, but once again through traffic, it was a 5-car train that's built up behind this 90 and 91 Urano duo that have just swapped around. Hoffman now leads Kimichev, Shivishabo, Sanchez Alba, and Matt Farrow. Now, there are a couple of people that are wondering why I like the BMW LMDH, pointing out that there is a certain other LMDH which is naturally aspirated, which is very fair. I have been very vocal that GT3 cars need to be naturally aspirated. I have no defense to mount myself now. I've been caught using my own words.
Yeah, terrible. You need just. That's why they call you inconsistent Arjuna.
Yes, strict my Simi.
I mean, no, I kind of, like I say, I do see both sides of it, but also I think BMW might have sent you a T-shirt.
Not yet. They haven't even given me a car with my logo on the side of it.
That is true. That is unacceptable.
That is my favourite BMW. Is the one that has my logo on the side of it.
That will be your favourite BMW.
Oh, Shivy Shabo getting the rear end, stepping around on it. Yes, that would be my favourite BMW.
I did like seeing a BS competition stickers all over a car in when we were in Poland, in Katowice. I looked out, got to the hotel, sat down, looked out the window, saw a BS competition logo, and I was like, that is perfect.
That is the official BMW car as well, isn't it? Yeah, no. So, now towards the top of the hour, when do we see the GT3 cars start to dive their way on in? The meta last year, let's not forget, was always, let's go beyond the top of the hour, and then let the second driver not worry about fuel saving. Team Redline run 1 and 2. They've got a healthy margin, not just a third, but to everyone behind them right now, because it's really stretched on out. I don't even think they'll be worried about the strategy here.
I'm most disappointed because that means that you might be right.
I did say Team Redline, didn't I?
You did say
Once
Team
in
Redline.
A blue moon.
Didn't say which one, and also there is still an hour to go, and if I've learned anything from commentating with various people in sim racing, is that there is the commentator's curse. Speaking of which, here's Tyre Bag Racing. This is what I've done to them, apparently. They're in the pit lane, it's fine. It's on time for them, actually.
You don't believe in the commentator's curse?
No, of course I don't, because it's rubbish.
So what I will say is, this is before the top of the hour. It's not ideal, especially since one of the major changes this year is the fact... Oh
my goodness.
That's turn 5, and that looked like LMDH is leaving the scene of some murdering as Luca Kita still trying to spin it around.
I think it might have been one of the SRC Movado Corsa cars as well. I think it at least through all of that, the 369 was losing a few positions in that, so I think it might have been the 369 getting involved with some of that.
We'll take a quick look at that in a moment. I'll just finish the point. GT3 cars are not in control of how many laps they do anymore. They will have a little bit more flexibility dependent on when the LMDH leader crosses the line, which means you've got to guarantee you're not short on fuel.
Yeah, it's
a climb uphill at the end as well, don't forget.
Yeah, exactly. So if you run out of full fuel coming out of the final corner, you are DONE and heading for a DNF. Let's see what happened then. So BS competition making their way through. You've got
Race clutch.
that. Nah, see what I did think so. It was the SSC Movano Corsa Cup coming straight through at the inside. Whether you, I mean, they weren't alongside.
Another look at it.
Responsible for that cleanly.
Yeah, I don't. Luca Kita just come down a little bit aggressively.
Does come down a bit harsh. Yeah,
I think
I can't doubt that.
You need to look on board probably with Phil Denez and the Big Red Machine to get a better understanding. The rest of the cars, by the way, starting to come down pit lane. Red Line doing all of their driver changes right now.
Yes. I mean,
I still blame SRC Movano, don't get me wrong. I would put the onus on them to pass safely, but I can't ignore that Luca Kita
did just go straight for the apex.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little silly. What I was going to say, by the way, particularly when it came down to tyre bag racing, obviously Alex Dunn behind the wheel now. With when they stopped, obviously they would have been leaving pit lane with less than half the race to go, because it would have been probably around about the 59-minute mark when they were actually leaving pit lane. Should mean they'll be fine. But like you say, because you're not fully in control, you've got to kind of always give yourself an extra lap just in case, because you genuinely can go for one entire lap more than you think you're going to go.
Especially if you're relying on auto fuel calculations or anything like that. Don't want to be left holding the bag. Now,
do you think anyone is in this grid?
I would. Now, don't get me wrong. You've got your own number as well, but if you can shave off a liter or two, that's a liter or two that will make a difference potentially at the end. Another change this year. The fact that you can do tires and fuel at the same time across of all two of the classes, excuse me, which does mean that we expect them to be changing tires, and they're not worrying now about having to carry tires for 2 hours, Lewis. It makes the life a lot easier for the drivers, even if it means that the first hour is less about setting up the second phase of the race. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, because I do remember we've had some of the best races that we've had in BMW Sim Cup competition was, I think we had it at Nürburgring, we definitely had it at Road Atlanta, when the tyre strategy for all three strategies, so 4 tyres, 2 tyres and no tyres, all three were used in the race, and it just made it fascinating. And that was what made the race so exciting. Obviously we don't have that anymore. I've said before, I know a few people agree with me, like oh, never mind, BS10 is being sent off, so that's a whoopsie daisy. That I do think that tyre changing and fuel should not be done at the same time, just because, well, it's more banter. It's done to mirror the IMSA World Sports Car Championship. No, I agree. I'm just pointing out that it's a decision made in aid of reality, as I think the way that I was trying to get to that. Now, what happened to Pedro Sanchez Albert? Because he's been involved in quite a lot here today. He's trying to get past Danny Chivisciabo, who does block back and forth, and then we've seen something like that with GT3s in the past. Again, plenty of these things are just racing incidents where drivers are not willing to give any sort of ground. Yeah, I mean, like you say, going once again, going for the move that we saw a bit earlier on. Whether you can, I don't know, it's just, it's frustration, isn't it? It's tried that move once before, got a penalty for it, tried it again. It's not worked out. Maybe that is not the move to be going for, going around the outside of that 90-degree left-hander, the hurry downs. But you live and learn. You go through the race. You kind of, the thing is, when it happens like once or twice, you start to think, why always me? And yet you still just keep doing it. You know? Sometimes it takes someone else to make you look internally to reflect on, oh, maybe I'm in control of my destiny sometimes. Diogo Pinto's only 4 seconds off of his teammate Ollie Steinbraten, and I think this is going to be a red line tussle. I don't think this is done and dusted for the race lead. They've just come out of pit lane, they're getting the tires up to temperature and pressure, and once they settle into the rhythm, let's see what the lap times will be between the two of them. It's also shrunk down behind to Julian Kesselhut in the BS competition car, while Luke McEwen has jumped into the Apex Racing team number 99. Did see a shout out in the chat. Someone that, Lewis, you have already had a chat with today, and are plenty familiar with. Alex Dunn out of the car in GB3 and Formula 4 in the real world, over into the virtual world in the BMW M SIM Cup.
Yeah, obviously GB3 started a couple of weeks ago at Oulton Park, and Alex Dunn gave it a good go. And they had a couple of struggles over the weekend, must be said, but still, mighty talent in real life as well as in sim racing. I'm not sure today will be there. I wonder if they had a little bit of that damage repaired in the pit lane as well. Obviously, they did have a little bit of damage on the rear. If they would have had any of that repaired, and also whether it was costing them any time as well. Is there a fast repair still these days?
Good point. Yes, there should be.
Yeah, okay,
and
so
that rear end is definitely looking factory fresh again.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have actually had any time stationary for the damage repair, but it might just have cost them a little extra time, anything like that, just over the end of the stint. Also, they pitted earlier, this, that, and the other. It might be why they've dropped down a little bit more. I think their chances of winning this race softly out of the window, courtesy of particularly where the Team Redline cars are. Diogo Pinto didn't have a particularly good day yesterday, did he?
It's not been the easiest defense of his world championship.
Didn't he have a wheel disconnection or something in qualifying?
He had pedal disconnection in qualifying. Fought his way quite well up in the sprint race yesterday, and then got tangled up in the main race. Jordan Caruso leads now. He's got 3 rounds of the championship left, and has a full perfect weekend between him and anyone else in the points. It is Caruso's to lose, in my opinion. Let's go and check in, though, with someone who has just joined up with the Apex Racing Academy team, although they're making their debut in the Apex Racing team car. Jimmy Antunes has not been given the team jersey just yet, so I can feel a little less bad that I haven't been sent one either.
Yeah, there is that. He's got a few trophies there, hasn't he?
Just a few. Helmets as well.
Yeah, no, right. It's not a bad little set. I mean, good to see Jimmy Antunes again looking for other homes and stuff in sim racing. Our Nice Competition's great team. The Apex Racing team, I can understand why there are the aspirations to kind of go to teams like that. The Apex Racing team are one of the big Titan teams in sim racing. Not that ours aren't a big team, but you know what I mean. It's not.
Yes.
I don't want to do any disrespect, but you are talking about one of the big ones. When they kind of come knocking, it's not the kind of team you're like, actually, no, I'm all right, thanks.
So, a few things that I had not known about Jimmy until he joined the team, and they do these really fun articles about them, so you get to learn a little bit more. Started karting at age 4. I'm guessing that's where the helmets, the trophies at the back come. Like many, he's had to stop racing in the real world because of lack of money, but he won the Young Talent Championship in the Porsche Cup Carrera. Okay, so they've butchered the title. Porsche Carrera Cup France 2014. I did not realize that Jimmy had real-world experience in the Porsche Cup cars.
Me neither. Well, shout out. Good effort. And now, again, another one of these drivers that didn't make it in the real world for various reasons, making it in sim racing. Which I think is the great thing with sim racing is that these drivers that can't make it in motorsport for various reasons can actually do something with the skills they've acquired. I think that's perfect. That's amazing.
Trying to think, who else would have had that sort of a story? Because Jimmy is not like I'm trying to think of the analogy. James Baldwin, right, is someone who is still trying to get into the real world, but using the virtual stuff maybe as a base to propel him into that. Jimmy is someone whose real world stuff is now very much in the history books and is continuing to enjoy his time. It's great to see. It's a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, Van Buren was in that boat until he won World's Fastest Gamer.
True.
He did karting and various other things. And then had accepted again, no budget, did sim racing, focused on that, was obviously absolutely rapid, particularly on RFX 2, and then did World's Fastest Gamer, won that, and then, yes, it's given him opportunities to go racing and stuff in the real world again, but it's only because of what he did in sim racing that's pushed him into it. Deegan Fairclough is a recent one. Obviously he's not got a career and stuff in motorsport, but having done his first weekend of British Formula 4 this weekend, a driver that we've seen in various competitions on iRacing and in sim racing generally. He did some things more club racing in motorsport, then did sim racing, and now is almost on a trajectory to return to that. Bearing in mind he is also 16, so that does terrible.
Yeah, that's where I feel like that's not the same comparison.
Not quite, but
Jimmy is, a mature adult, whatever the best way to say that is, an experienced person in life now, and so it's interesting. I really find that story quite fun. He does have to chase down some of his former teammates, though, by the way. He's got Carlos Diguez and Nicolas Rubila running 9th and 10th. Final points-paying positions as well, let's not forget. So there is some incentive for them to hold on to those spots. Did you ever get your Arnage competition new T-shirt?
I got an old one.
Oh, you did one?
No, I got an old one.
Oh, you got the old one like me. Okay.
Hello, it's comfortable.
It's very comfortable. Yeah. I wear that probably more than any other team shirt.
Again, I look at the Arnage, because have they changed livery?
Again? No.
Okay, because it is obviously asymmetrical.
Yes.
And I didn't think, I thought it was asymmetrical. Maybe it's when they changed it and I just didn't notice. I don't pay attention.
Apparently,
these days.
You clearly aren't the biggest supporter of Arnage competition.
No comment.
No comment?
Hey, wasn't it in the last BMW broadcast I had one of their shirts on?
We may have both had one of their shirts on, if I'm remembering what we did correctly.
No, I think I can't remember which 3 teams you did. I think I was Arnage. Who did
Williams
I
and
pick?
RAG.
Yeah.
And so I would have been Altus, Pure Sims, and BS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no bias.
We represent the teams. We want to get your names out there at the end of the day. Yeah, the Brabham Esports hoodie has become a staple for me, just going out and walking around town now.
Yeah, no, I've played rounds of golf with it.
Speaking of which, Arjuna versus Lewis will have to happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean the thing is we need to figure out how to live stream it. That's the big thing.
So here's what I suggest. If we're going to do it, we've got to find the appropriate venue for it, right? It's got to be somewhere spectacular, worthy of this battle.
Oh, right, I see. So we have to go somewhere real expensive. Well, you know...
No, we have to set... Expensive. Yes, expensive, but we're not going to pay for it. We'll tell them that they get the honor of hosting the match, Arjuna versus
the old
Lewis.
course, then.
Old course? I was thinking Pebble Beach is an option, too.
Oh, right, I have to come over that way, do I? No, just do Augusta National, then.
Let's be honest, I'm not going to be allowed to come over there based on previous precedent.
That's a good point. Maybe this is the thing, it's the whole discussion of me. Maybe we have to do something around Indy next year. Yeah.
Oh, we can go to... Yes, I'm looking forward to playing the Brickyard Crossing. I do need to book my tee time for that one. I should do that. If I'm going to drive from California to Indianapolis to play golf, I better make sure I actually play golf.
You're driving the whole way?
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my god, how long is that going to take?
3 days.
3 days there, 3 days back. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Maybe what I really need to do is find sim racing places along the way.
No, I think you do.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is the whole thing of like, so talking of going to Spa for the 24 later this year as well. And to me, all I'm thinking is like, right, if I go like on the way, or obviously talking of going to Munich and whatnot, if I'm driving there on the way, I'm just thinking I've got to stop there and I've got to stop there and I've got to stop there, because it's kind of like I've got to meet that person, then that person, then that person. I've got to go and see them and see. It's great.
That's great, except when I have to do like 850 miles a day or something.
Yeah, through the middle of America.
Yes, so 850 miles is an odd. It's not a small amount to cover every day.
It's a couple of miles.
Just a couple of miles.
Where you need a car from a certain manufacturer that just does the driving for you, right? That's and then you can sleep.
Yes,
don't do that.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Don't do that.
You know what? I've read some really interesting stories over the last few months. I've had some free time, and so I've been watching and reading a bit more about these gumball runs, you know, where they try and go from coast to coast as quickly as possible. Some of the planning, some of the stories are also just very scary, of people doing like 200 miles an hour, seeing a cop in a state where they did not want to be pull over, and so they just like abandoned their car.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, absolutely ridiculous. But then the story of the fastest electric run from coast to coast was actually interesting, because it's like they had to calculate what the optimal speed was to drain the battery in the most efficient way so that they would get various charging spots at the correct point. They didn't always drain the battery, because that's not always the quickest to charge back up. So that's an algorithm. You know, that's not just the driving.
It's too complicated.
Yeah.
That is too complicated to me. But I've always said, when it comes to like longer distance trips, I don't like doing it like rapidly. Like, obviously in this country there is something which is highly illegal, but it is the race against the sun, where you.
What is that? Sorry.
The race against the sun is where you
top to bottom.
No. Coast to coast on the shortest night of the year. You go from one coast to the other, and you're racing the sun coming back up again.
They were 3 wide there as Jimmy Antunes charges now past Alexander Thieber after getting past Carlos Tiguez. How short is the shortest night, sorry?
I can't remember how many hours, but basically the average speed you have to do is something like 85. That's why it's really illegal.
Gotcha.
Because that is significantly higher than the speed limit.
Right, yes. Iku Merikala, by the way, is saying that with regards to the electric gumball challenge, there's already navigation apps that do that. Yes, but how do you know that is the optimal route? Because as a software engineer, I don't think any code I've ever deployed has been 100% perfect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Anyone who's used RaceSpot.media can attest to that.
No, to be fair, when it comes to all these algorithms and stuff that are there to like calculate this, that, and the other, I never fully trust them. It's why I asked earlier, you know, about like obviously the new automated system to do the fuel and stuff.
Yep.
Which obviously, don't get me wrong, obviously crew chief and stuff have had the ability to basically kind of do rough things like that. I've never trusted it because it's kind of like, yeah, but is it actually calculating the right amount of laps that are left?
So that is a good question. This is where, this is not even a major, like, World Championship level sim racing team. They have had a tool for years where they just push data to the cloud.
Yeah.
What a phrase. They push data up to a website from each of their drivers, and so they can see on a lap-by-lap basis exactly how much fuel there was at the line. And so then they have control about how they then calculate how many laps are left, how much fuel margin do I want to have, etc., 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 so that you have total control over that number, which is probably pretty similar to what some of these major teams do, in that I know some of these teams have built out tools to help them plan strategy and whatnot.
Yeah.
And surely they've got similar sort of insights that they're able to derive, probably in a much more sophisticated way than us. I know for a fact that for a long time, guess how Kawanda did their strategy for special events? Spreadsheets. Just old spreadsheets. That was it.
Good.
Not even
good.
They manually updated and everything.
Good. That is what I like to hear. You know me, love a good spreadsheet. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this is the whole thing of being around like some of the Formula E stuff and seeing how some of the teams and stuff operate in that. No, thank you. That's like I say, there is algorithms galore, which you would expect, but it's stuff which is calculating things where I'm kind of like, huh, what? That makes no sense. Then someone explains it to you, like really dumbs it down, and you're like, oh.
So
why?
We can focus on the race again, by the way, because we're about to head into the pit stop cycle for your GTPs, and I think about to see some driver changes. Alex Gall has continued to slip backwards. Now Urano 1 and 2. Still yet to see Vlad Kimichev jump up onto the podium positions, but still 6 cars split by 10 seconds or so. It's all still in the air and left to play for.
Urano are desperate for this 1, 2, 3. They've got I mean, like, you know, not that long ago, they'd be like, yeah, it'd be good to get 1 car on the podium. Oh, it'd be good to get 2 cars on the podium. It'd be good to win the race. No, it'd be good. It'll be good to have all 3 cars on the podium. It's just, that is just how swift your expectations of stuff change in the race when you've been making such progress. You're absolutely right. We'll see some driver swaps in the pit lane this time. It's when it's going to be, whether it's going to be this lap. Obviously, a few drivers and teams are in this lap, or whether they want to leave it 1, maybe 2 more. I would suspect Joke Delic, Dominic Huffman, Alex Gall, Vlad Kimichev, and that lot will be in the pit lane this lap.
Remember Dion Fiallo did stay out 1 lap longer the previous stint. He may be able to shorten this pit stop a little bit, but having said that, I think they're going to be limited by driver change now, which is 30 seconds or so, I believe, so don't think there's going to be too much of a benefit from there. We'll see how it cycles him out in traffic. If Urano does get 1, 2, and 3, though, we talked out of Daytona that it was all about Urano, which was crazy. Daytona used to be Redline's place to win in this BMW Sim GT Cup. Things changed. Things progressed. Redline last year, we saw this in the VCO Infinity back in May 2022, how close Urano pushed them, and they continue to build. They've won some championships in the last 18 months as well. 3 drivers in the World Championship. Luca Kita has just come off a top 5 as well just yesterday. Things are going great for the team.
And you've got to remember that at the moment they are driving a car that they are, to say comfortable would probably be a almost underselling it in this car. They are absolutely the ones to beat, at least in the race. When it comes to qualifying, their qualifying's fine, but not great. But that's not where the points are scored. It is about the race. It's about, you know, getting the victory, getting the fastest lap, etc. And they just have something in this car hooked up. So obviously the switches and stuff driver-wise going on right now. But when they come out of the pit lane, it should be Urano 1 and 2. It might even be 1, 2 and 3, depending on how swift this pit stop is.
To your point about how strong Urano are in this car, let's go back to Sebring, and let's go back to the 12 hours of Sebring, where it was a relentless race, and there were 4, 5 teams that continued to be up towards the front, keeping in contention. I think Urano still ended up winning by almost 50 full seconds or something over the BMW M Team Red Line. And they came from well outside of the top 10 when we chatted with Dominic Hoffman after that one. And so as they head back out onto track, still waiting for Dion Fiallo and Tom Hooper in the BS competition and Maniti Racing cars to come down to pit lane. It is still Urano 1 and 2. And Jonas Warmeyer, who takes over the reins from Vlad Kimichev, is within 1.2 seconds of Arturo Melgar in the Please Hire Jaden Ladick number 9.
Yep, and the question is still, who wants to hire Jaden Ladick? Or who does they want? Is it RaceSpot? Is it another team? Who knows? But right now, they're not winning, so no one's hiring no one right now. At least hang on to a podium. But I said Urano are just really strong. I think we should make a rule here, Martina. If Urano get a 1, 2, 3, they owe us a T-shirt.
I think they already owe us a T-shirt.
Yeah, they definitely do already owe us a T-shirt.
All the nice things that we've said about them over the years, yeah. I mean, we did.
That's a great point.
We did some of those DNLS rounds where we sang their praises. We sang the praises of Seb Schmalenbach, the team manager, in some of those races.
Yeah. So if you're listening right now, where is my T-shirt?
Where it's with Alexei Nesov in Monza. That's where it is.
You think so?
Yes.
So if I'd have been invited to Monza, maybe I'd get a
maybe.
T-shirt.
I do wonder, how is Alexei getting on? We talked about how
I don't know. I've not got it on at the moment because I'm working.
Fair enough. Alexei's over there, of course, for some SRO esports stuff, as well as the SRO racing. Came out, I don't know the margin of victory in the esports race. All I saw was the very happy smile that he had.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, he is 27. There you go.
Okay.
I thought it was second on the tower, and I got really excited for a second then. But obviously, it was looking
where
down
in
the order.
class?
I don't actually know.
Because this is the problem with the race. These type of races. There's like 70 classes that you got to pick through as well.
Yeah, they've color coded the tower quite nicely. I'll say that, but I'm not 100% sold on the SO tower these days. But still, I think third in class.
Third in class, got it. So Keika Shube in place of Dion Fiallo out in 7th. Scott Mike Partington to fight with. 3-way fight for the time being between Please Hire Jane and Leydig, Urano Esports Data Group and the Apex Racing Academy. Would not be shocked if we do see maybe another 3-car train brought into contention though, because Williams Esports and then 2 BS competition cars still within relatively close touching distance, and the traffic is not as frequent and as scrappy as it was at the start of the race. But again, we say it so many times, Lewis, the traffic gives and the traffic takes. You can never feel comfortable, and you can never go for moves that are not on. We've seen a couple of those so far today.
Yeah, like I say, when you're thinking of how many drivers you're overtaking all of the time, throughout the race, there are going to be some that you're going to think, oof, that got a little close, didn't it? That was a little tight. Those will always happen. There will always be a few in the race that will always be a little tight. What you need to make sure is that you're not doing that too often. They aren't coming around all the time. That they're, once in a blue moon. You're not frequently landing. If you're having like 3 or 4 each time you're going through traffic where you're thinking, hey, that was actually a little bit close, you're being too dangerous in traffic. Even if you're sat there thinking, these GT3s are terrible. What are they doing? You're probably the problem in that.
I've never been the problem. Never.
I mean, I've watched you driving.
You've never watched me actually having practice driving. Just probably more.
No, but isn't that like the best way to see a driver is when they've not practiced? You understand their mentality and their.
I get what you mean, but you know how little I had driven in the prelude to us actually doing a race. I was so rusty. To be fair, anyone on track while I was driving probably hated me during that race. I was struggling. You know who's not struggling? Diogo Pinto. 2 seconds. I did wonder how quickly he would bring down this gap. It's halfway through. He's taken out 1.5 seconds. That doesn't help, though, when Please Hire Jaden Ladick runs straight into the back of the red line, number 20, and then BS Competition sails on through. Red line will hold on to third. The damage already done.
Yeah, I mean, this... Yeah, this might be a Urano Esports 1-2-3 here, weirdly enough.
And they're not even have to...
After that?
No, they're not going to have to do it on track, you'd have to say.
No, I mean, they still probably will, just because, or at least give it a go. On board with them, and you can see... Yep, that is a slam dunk.
That is ridiculous.
Jaden Ladick is not getting hired.
Is that a commentator's curse, though?
No. That was quite literally the definition of bad driving. I
agree. I actually agree in this case. Although you have to admit the timing was a bit perfect.
It's going to be a 1-2-3 anyway.
It is a 1-2-3 anyway. Although now Marcus Solholm will be the one to try and stop that in his Apex Racing Academy car. Surely Arturo Melgar is now aware that he's probably got a penalty coming down on him. All these drivers know live race control is there, even if it's only going to be impacting post-race penalties. Don't know if he's going to really hold up Solholm too much.
Yeah, I mean, look, here we go. Got to the right-hand side of the start-finish straight. Obviously, trying to take the slipstream as Arturo Melgar, but I think this is more a Hugo. Also, you can see the green on that rear wing on the fin is not actually perfectly aligned over the seam, so just want to point that one out.
That could be a trick of the camera.
Yeah, but it's more funny if it's not, isn't it?
We can't tell from that camera angle.
That is not a trick of the camera.
You're actually right. There it is. Yes. No.
Terrible.
I've got to break out the yellow pen to do this, don't I?
Yeah, you probably do. Yeah, yes. Go on. Circle that bad boy. When it comes to livery design, that's terrible. Unacceptable. Look at that. The size difference.
Yes.
From left to right.
I was trying to draw an arrow, but I realized that I haven't used the yellow pen in so long, and I'm pretty bad at using it. Here's the problem. You know how in real world sports they get a full 65-inch screen to play with?
Yeah.
I've got a mouse.
Yeah, I know. That sounds like a new problem, though, doesn't it?
Sounds like something for the RaceSpot studio. We're going to have to get a full 65-inch monitor in there. Melgar's pace...
never getting invited to that.
No, you're definitely not. Melgar's pace, by the way, has very much dropped off, so I wonder if he is just backed off after that incident now, or if there's maybe damage.
It was a pretty big hit to the front, and like you say, the aero on the front of these cars, they are pretty sensitive, and so the fact how much Mike Partington's closing in, same with Keiko Schubert, if you wanted to like back down and take it a little slowly, he would still be on the rear end of Marcus Solholm. There's 100% damage or something on the front of that car.
No, it doesn't look too bad at the front, but he might dive off to the right. No, he'll stay out on track. So clearly not bad enough to warrant a required trip to pit lane. Check in with Diogo Pinto, by the way, because he is going to have to now go on the defense. Luke McEwen in that Apex Racing Academy car, closing to try and steal a spot on the podium away. Yeah,
McEwen's been through a few teams. Seems to be pretty settled. At least, the brief time he's been there with the Apex Racing team. So this will be very interesting for him. But trying to get past on Team Redline. Try and get himself onto the podium. Obviously, I don't think there's going to be much more up for grabs in just half an hour with 7 seconds up towards Kesselhout. That is not a gap that is particularly closable unless there is more drama as Arturo Melgar loses out to Mike Partington.
As expected, just sheds time. Has consecutive 150s, does Arturo Melgar in terms of lap time. Everyone else in the 47s, 48s, so it's very much leading time right now. We'll see if Race Control does have anything to say on that. I can probably quote from Race Control when I say this might have been one of the easiest penalties they've ever had to give. 5 seconds goes the way of the Please Hire Jaden Ladick car. So, have we decided that Arturo Melgar doesn't get hired, but Alex Gall does?
Alex Gall does, for sure. Mega stint early on. Maybe Jaden Ladick does as well, why not? But this is not going to be good for Arturo Melgar. There is one, but it might even be both going around the outside. Of course, they've got the BS competition car and the BS Turner, and by the time they get to Canada Corner, that is 2 positions down. That car is limping right now.
if this was in the real world, I would almost suggest that it has no hybrid drive or something, because it looks that slow.
It does seem to be more straight line.
It's fine through the corners,
yeah, it's not looking ideal for Arturo Mello, because like I say, keeping up there, and then just losing out all this. Obviously, what that'll be is it'll be something to do with the front aero on the car.
He's lost about 6 kph.
The straight line speed. Yeah, you can see the damage on the front right.
I always find it hard to really judge the speeds as well, because the way we're given them, they're always in flux. They're never stationary, and they've got draft braking zone. But 6 kilometers an hour, that's rough. That is rough. I was wondering if Diogo Pinto was going to get close enough to Steinbratton. That's now a moot point. Julian Kesselhut is almost within touching distance of the significantly reduced draft that has sent so many people crazy on social media.
Yeah. Who was it that was complaining about it?
We'll get back to that.
Everyone, basically.
It was everyone. Keika Shube goes around in that BS competition car. Has there been more drama involving the number 9?
I think, I mean, it's just whether it's been assisted by others and whatnot. Seeing the racing coming up towards the carousel, look back on the replay to see exactly what's happened. Probably solo.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I think maybe it had a couple of wheels on the, or at least halfway on the grass on the right-hand side. It's very easy to lose it. As you go over that crest, the rear of the car does get really, really light. But the way that snap does tell me that it's probably the right wheels.
Yeah,
just in the grass. There you go.
And you can even see there's like tyre tracks on the right side there coming up through the crest. Everyone has been doing it, some getting away with it more successfully than others. But in that case, Kashube instantly looped around, holds on to 8th though. We'll see how his tyres are holding on after that. McEwen on the back of Diogo Pinto, but not the only Apex Racing car going on the charge. Tyre Bag Racing and Alex Dunn, who's done a decent job after getting that damage repaired to hold on to a spot in the top 5. He's going to have to hold on to it though, as Maxen Godido, as well as Norby Kish, who is now officially part of BS competition, runs in 6th and 7th positions.
Yeah, I do always love seeing Norby Kish. It always feels like a special occasion to see Norby Kish in sim racing, and then you realise that he's in sim racing all of the time. Like he does so much sim racing. Does Norby Kish? It shouldn't feel quite as special, but it just does. I don't know. It just is what it is, as we can see. Everything's kind of, once again, it goes. This race seems to go through phases of calming down and then just turning up to 11 for about a lap and a half, and then just being like, okay, yeah, cool. You've had your fill. We'll calm that one down. I wonder if it will, by the way, be a Urano Esports 1-2, because I've got to say that Apex Racing Academy car is not a million miles away. It's kind of dropped back a little bit, but that doesn't mean it is over.
No, I agree. And Marcus Solom has been pretty consistent with his lap times. See how it goes. Now remember, of course, that is the second of the Apex Racing Academy cars. The first one that qualified up in 2nd spot, outside front row. Owen Carroll was running well until, unfortunately, miscommunication with traffic out of turn 3 saw him run his way into that Sargento bridge, and unfortunately ended the day. That's the Apex Racing Academy car that I don't want to be unfair to Solholm and to Shivi Shabo, but with Owen Carroll and with Paddy Wolf, that's probably the car that you expect to be running up the front out of the two of them.
Yeah, there is that, but yeah, it is what it is. It's not really like super academy vibes. We discussed this last round.
That is not an academy car. I'm sorry.
I think it's great. Obviously, if you're in an academy, to then have like the chance to race with well-established drivers in the sim racing world, particularly like with Paddy Wolf, because you might learn something from them. But the fact that they then get classified as an academy driver is hilarious.
It is. We always say this, and poor Will Chadwick, I was commentating with him yesterday, and I used him as my example. Now, Will's a top-quality sim racer. 8,000 iRacing, power rating,
He's good.
He's going to be second, I think, in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. But I was trying to explain that even at that level, there are levels to this game. And I was saying that, Will, you're great, but how do you compare to Jordan Caruso? And I felt so unfair bringing up the question.
That is brutal.
But you get what I mean. Even Lewis, you're the 2-time Simi Award winner. I'm the 1-time Simi Award winner. We know where the ladder is. right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I apparently appear on too many big scale broadcasts.
Yeah, apparently that's what social media is claiming. But my point being here is I recognize it. I'm not saying that Simi Awards are the be-all and end-all, but I know I'm not the perfect commentator. I know I've got things to improve on. And so drivers, I think, sometimes it's hard to accept because you need to have that mentality to win of I am the best.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the whole thing of, like, so the two championships that I've won in sim racing, particularly with the second one, which obviously has been a while ago. But yeah, it was a decent championship. It was in touring cars and stuff on a different platform. And when I was racing in that, I was convinced that I was the best driver, because you kind of have to be, right? But I've raced people on that grid since and before and not been convinced that I was much better than them.
Yes.
Right? If you get what I mean, like, it's like, yeah, they're on the same kind of level. When you're in that championship fight, you have to be like, you have to have that mentality to switch yourself up. It's almost like that self-belief, that almost deluded. So what was it that Ian Porter said? It was like he said, "I'll give you the thing that you might need, which is delusional confidence."
Yes.
Which I think is a hilarious line, but it genuinely is actually a thing with a lot of big drivers in sim racing. You need to have that delusional confidence.
No, exactly. And he is someone as well that shows that you can have that confidence, the delusional confidence, but still be improving all the while. Like, that's been the great part of seeing his progression in sim racing. Hopefully at some point we get the chance to chat with him. I get the chance to chat with him because I know, Lewis, you have. Or you have
love
on
the guy.
Your broadcast. I just love the energy, and I want more people to understand where he's coming from in his pursuits of sim racing. And again, I'm being thrown under the bus for my throwing under the bus of Will Chadwick in our RaceSpot YouTube chat. But,
oh, nice.
But it's just levels, and it's so small, the margins, and from track to track it's going to vary so much as well. Lewis, you may be faster than me in a touring car at Road America, but
absolutely.
if we go into a Dallara IR18, probably going to switch around. It's understanding that and recognizing it all. By the way, Diogo Pinto has been passed by Luke McEwen. This is not a battle that's done and dusted by any means. Last 22 minutes, I think we've actually got plenty to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, I think we've got various fights. Now, by the way, there is someone in the YouTube chat that I can tell would definitely destroy both of us in touring cars around here, and that is obviously Paul Smith.
Yes.
In touring cars, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sure Will Chadwick would absolutely annihilate us in any car, but that's fine.
Yes, but Paul Smith actually drives as well, somewhat regularly, semi-regularly.
I definitely do.
Yes, so
every time I drive, I think I can commentate better than this. So.
Yeah, that's my problem as well, and that's a low bar with my commentary, right? So really shows you how bad my driving is. Race leads within a second as well in this GT3 class, and then for fifth on back, we'll continue to track Tire Bag Racing's attempt to hold on over the Apex Racing Team and BS competition. We've had our fair share of waffling, but Road America is one of those tracks where it's fast flowing wide open. Doesn't always lead to the best wheel-to-wheel racing all the time in an endurance race, but it's always fascinating.
No, I mean, it's like I say, it's a track which can deliver some good racing, depending on what kind of car you're in. When it comes to endurance stuff, I'm actually all for it. My first time racing around here was actually in the legendary Star Mazda.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, right. To be fair, the racing was so good. It is a great track.
Open wheelers here are fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for me, especially low-powered open wheels, because it's just a big old slipstream fest. Really big. But you still get some decent racing regardless of the category, including this for the race lead in GT3. Who's coming out on top here? BS competition or Team Redline? Guess what? Whose pace has been really solid.
It's worrying pace if you're Redline for me.
Yeah.
Half a second quicker last time, and again, traffic makes it kind of hard to judge, but Redline seem to be struggling on more than one front. And I bring it up because Pinto is holding lockstep with McEwen, but he's not getting close enough to really challenge, I'd argue. And we talked about how tires, everyone changed them, maybe they're not having to think about them so much. You just got to wonder if Redline are having to preserve the tires more than the other teams.
Or maybe even they're looking after a little bit more fuel to give that one extra lap. Maybe BS competition is burning at the moment. There are obviously a lot of ifs and buts in all of this, but who knows? Who knows? That's the joy of this. We're sat back here. We definitely don't know, and that's what we're excited to find out. We've got 19.5 minutes to do so. We don't know exactly how many laps the GT3 category is going for, because it comes down to what the LMDHs do.
I'm surprised we didn't get Max today, by the way, because there's no Formula 1 this weekend.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Max Verstappen was disappointing, you know.
I don't think he enjoyed his Sebring 12-hour experience, to be fair. So maybe he's been enjoying some time with his Redline teammates, so that's what's been fun. If you are a fan of Team Redline, they have their own Twitch channel. On Wednesdays, they've been doing their own community races. Max has been popping up into them. And yeah, got pulled away in a very cute fashion. I'm not sure if you saw that clip, Lewis.
No.
His partner's daughter came and pulled him off the rig. Told him that he had to come and play with her.
Yes. I will just say, by the way, because I've just received a message from someone. It was from Tom saying that of course Diogo Pinto's car is actually damaged at the moment.
Is it?
I believe so, and it kind of explains as to why maybe not had the pace.
It looks okay. He did get. Was it the left rear?
Yeah, it was quite a tap on that left rear, and of course we saw what happened to the front of that car, because that was Arturo Melgar, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's still losing.
And Arturo Melgar's losing a lot of time, so it does make sense that Diogo Pinto does have a damaged car in there. But whilst Dom's watching, it's the perfect time to say, why isn't Max in this race? Anyway, moving on.
Oh, is Dom watching?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yes. Why isn't Max in this race? Terrible.
Get Max in this race.
I was having so much fun during Sebring as well, because we had Max doing fuel saving while pulling away from the field, and it was one of those ridiculous things where you're just like, not only is Max Verstappen probably and potentially the best, if not one of the best in the real world, you could make that claim in the virtual world as well.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Crane's actually the one that said that a few times, is that he does actually reckon that Max is the fastest driver in sim racing. Every time that I kind of feel like maybe I disagree with it, then you see his pace and you're like, oh god, no, he's probably right. Especially if Max was a full-time sim racer.
Oh boy,
there is no doubt.
No one would have a chance.
No doubt. I mean, yeah, again, respect to him. But at the moment, it doesn't seem as though his team is coming under quite as much pressure as we might have thought, because BS competition, that gap's remaining around the 1 second margin. It went out to about 1.1 over the last lap or so.
It did stall, that's what's happened. And in a similar vein, by the way, battle for third in LMDH has seen Jonas Woolmeyer build up a 3-second buffer to the Apex Racing Academy car. More now concerned about Williams Esports Marla closing from behind. On board through this carousel. Oh, you can just hear it, the patience in the throttle, just waiting to get onto the full range of the throttle. And then through the kink. How much commitment do you want to really take? We've seen some hellacious incidents through there in the past. No bigger than, at least that I can remember, than Catherine Ledge all those years ago.
Oh god, yeah, that was a stonker. I mean, to be fair, we've had a bit of an incident in this race, obviously, in there.
Yes, not as bad, fortunately.
No, thankfully. Obviously, in the sim racing world, nothing's going to be quite as bad. Yeah, Team PGZ going straight off into that barrier. I mean, it's a fast corner. I remember seeing a lovely slow-mo through that kink. This is when I started getting into iRacing. This was about 10 years ago. A lovely slow-mo, pulling away beautifully, some lovely soothing piano music as one GT3 comes in, slams the barrier, bounces straight back into the middle of the road, and you can kind of imagine how it all unfolded from there. And you're basically just seeing 40 GT3 cars all flipping. This is all in an official race.
Gotcha.
And so clearly everyone was broken after that point. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Norby Kish, by the way, passed the Apex Racing Team car. He will be the one to try and challenge Alex Sun. So you've got an open-wheel driver in the real world against a truck driver. Truck racer, I guess you've got to say, because truck driver implies something different.
Yeah, it's great. Maybe Norby Kish is a truck driver as well. That's why he's so good.
Maybe he's like Carl Jansen, who is a...
He's really good at Euro Truck Sim.
Yes, he must clearly be an expert there. They've really dropped Godino as well, I should point out. I saw BS Competition in our chat cheering on Kessel Hook. I think they'll be cheering on Norby Kish as well. I didn't realize how much experience Norby Kish had around the Nordschleife, by the way. You know how much I love the Green Hell, but
yeah.
Can you imagine? We need to send Norby around there in a truck one time and just see how quick he can do it.
But maybe he has done it in a truck before.
I don't think so. I went searching, I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, no, that's fair. How much experience does he have around the Nordschleife? Is it really quite a lot?
It is quite a lot, yeah. And he was DNLS champion at one point.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was.
That I had no idea. No, I thought most of his racing experience was literally just trucks.
DNLS, not NLS. DNLS.
Oh yeah, I was going to say. Oh, right,
very
okay.
very different prospects.
Yeah,
there.
no, I'm with you. Generally, we were just talking like the North Life, and my brain is just all like, yeah, real life, yeah, of course.
Forgot to add the digital in there. Yes.
The DNLS kind of actually does make sense. I know he has been rapid in that championship.
It's a fun championship as well. Every winter, there's DNLS Community Cup going on now as well, if you are interested in taking part in that. Of course, we're coming up to the iRacing 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. That's our next special event in about 3 weeks' time. Lewis, are you getting ready to go and drive that one all by yourself?
No.
There is someone who's going to try and solo it for charity this year.
There's quite a few that try and solo it, and nah, I'm good, thanks. Diogo Pinto's going for a move, surely.
Nah, he's doing the bump draft.
Think?
Yeah,
I'm with you.
13 minutes to go. We got some time. Lead gap has opened up again. This is a driver, though, that is likely to be in top split, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. Yes.
Who?
Michael Polishek.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I realise that is a name that you would recognise.
Good for you. No, good. I mean, well, I say good for you. You've not tried it yet. I'll say good for you in a few weeks' time if you get to it.
Yeah, so long as you don't murder anyone else while you're attempting it.
Yeah, too right. I still think we need to sort out a 5-driver car for the North Life. Just saying.
We'll see. I may end up doing quite a lot of commentary that day.
A couple of hours driving in there as well. Perfect.
Maybe.
I remember. Was it 2021? We did a commentary stint on it, and then when we bailed, you then went to go and race in coincidentally the same split as a team which I was sort of engineering for, which did have Shane Van Gisbergen in it.
Yes, that did happen.
That was hilarious.
I got into the car after it had already been crashed, for the record.
Yeah, it was pretty broken.
My crashes had no subsequent impact on the state of the car, material state.
Yeah, it was already pretty done and dusted.
Ole Steinbraten has really picked up the tempo once again, and you were talking maybe fuel number. We were wondering maybe fuel. If Steinbraten and Pinto are running to the same form book, is it now time for Pinto to start getting a little bit more aggressive? Because you did wonder if he was going to look to the inside in turn 5. This is the closest that he's been through an entire lap since he was passed by McEwen.
I think there's just been timing and pacing from Redline, which, let's be honest, when it comes to strength from that team, strategy and numbers like that, they're a hard team to beat. And I think, like you say, Steinbraten's let Kesselhout get a little close and then has gone, right, okay, now I'm going to start burning whatever fuel. Like, obviously, you're running those final calculations in the background. Maybe you've said, actually, we don't need to save that extra lap. So now that we've got that sorted, let's go for it. And you get to burn basically you're just running flat out to the end. And so I would suggest that Luke McEwen's going to be feeling an awful lot of pressure over the next 11 minutes, because Diogo Pinto's not one that's going to rest on his laurels, and especially after the awkward day yesterday. Surely there is going to be some major attempts fired here.
Luke McEwen, former Team Redline driver as well, let's not forget. He's going to half block the middle line down the hill. 10 minutes and about 40 seconds to go. Pinto deciding he doesn't want to go for it just yet. Where is your leader, though? We should probably answer the question of how many laps are left. Dylan Shrivens is heading down the hill into turn 5 himself. And so I believe that is going to mean lap time's just under 2 minutes or so here. I think we're going to have 5 to go at the line?
Yeah, I'd go with 5 to go at the line. I mean, again, never trust a commentator's math, but this really is it's 5. It's 5 to go. So that's fine.
I'd go as far to argue that the Urano 1-2-3 is in their control right now, because Wallmeyer's almost 4 seconds clear of Marcus Solholm, who has now been able to establish a separation again back to Mike Partington, who's feeling the pressure from Valtteri Alander. This is the fight for 4th.
Yeah, see if we're going to see a move from Valtteri Alander anytime shortly. Obviously, very, very close, but I'm not sure who's had penalties in this race, by the way.
That is a good question. The 96 should have 5 seconds as they split the difference.
Well,
Urano in the wall.
That is going to be a penalty. There we go. Slam dunk. Valtteri Landa went for a gap that absolutely was not his wisest, going 3 wide through the middle. I get it that Mike Partington was really slow off of Canada corner, but watching that unfold, at least from the onboard,
inevitable.
That is surely a slam dunk.
Here we go. Race control is going to have stuff to look at in these final 10 minutes of the race. Can't even blame the netcode. There's no air between them there. Landa just bullies Laubish into the wall and immediately out of the race.
Just so silly. I feel really bad for Laubish in that, like you say. Obviously, Partington maybe could have backed off a little earlier to then get the exit out of the corner. Obviously, you're never going to go through the middle there. But then the just complete misjudgment from Valtteri Landa to have gone for that.
And uncharacteristic misjudgment as well. Valtteri is usually one of those cars that we trust. But that reminds me of ISOWC Long Beach. And not in the good ways.
Or ISOWC Auto Club.
Fontana, yeah. Although, to be fair, that was literally just the run to the line. Long Beach was a bit more than that.
Yeah, it was fairly consistent through the race at Long Beach. But, yeah, I mean, like I say, it doesn't happen that often. And like I've said before, throughout the entirety of the 2 hours of this race, obviously you are lapping a lot of cars, and it only takes one misjudgment to be... obviously, late in the race, everyone's going for every little gap. Not trying to defend Valtteri Landa there, but... yeah, it wasn't good.
Valtteri Landa will be the first to hold his hand up and say, I did something wrong. I'll also add, they had a 5-second penalty anyway.
Yeah, I thought they did.
Maybe they didn't realize it. Maybe the memo hadn't gotten through, but it was moot. And Nicholas Laubish pays the price as a result. And that's, of course, a driver that in the championship might actually have been wanting those points at the end of the day. So, still watching fights for 3rd, for 5th in GT3, but your race-leading BMW of Team Redline, Ollie Steinbratton, comfortably clear of Kesselit for the time being, even though the margin's being shrunk down once again. I don't think this is a case like Sebring last year, where we saw BS Competition hunting down Redline with a different tyre strategy, and we knew there was going to be a move on the final lap. This is going to be some work.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I think I can see the BS Competition car getting closer. I can see the BS Competition car getting within a second. I can't necessarily see it attacking for the race lead. Obviously, the closer they get, effectively, the easier it will be to catch that final little bit, because you'll be getting a little bit of the slipstream. But, you know, as we've heard from many a person, the slipstream barely exists. So, yeah, each their own on that one. I
did get Will Chadwick to admit yesterday that the reduced slipstream is more realistic, according to some real-world drivers. So that's a start.
Yeah, as I've heard from many. But then, you know, more boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is. This is the difference between sim racing and esports racing, right?
It depends what you're trying to do.
Where do we want to do each of them? Where is your race leader? He's being closed by Daniel Lorenzo in the number 90. It's the 92 from the 90 from the 91 for the Urano Esports crew. They also make it easy by differentiating the team names.
Yeah.
Huawei, regular data group. Now, having said that, we haven't complained about livery so far today, and so we're running out of time to do so. I believe that this livery is identical to this livery, which is identical to this livery.
Yeah, they are. That's a poor effort. Also, can we all just agree that it is a little bit unsatisfying 92, 90, 91? Wouldn't it be... I mean, it would... Obviously, you're never going to do this, but it would be the weirdest team order. No, we've got to get the data group car ahead of the Urano Esports car, so it reads 92, 91, 90. So it's counting down. So actually, rather than down and then back up again, that's a big crash.
That's
Canada corner?
Yeah, and that's Pure Sims with a broken right rear suspension, surely. I don't know how that wheel is still attached to the drive shaft, but...
Whoa.
Nathan Moore is going to try and pick it out of the lane. And meanwhile, here's, I think, the point of no return for the likes of Pinto and McEwen as they crest the hill once more, coming with 5 laps left to play. McEwen going all the way to the wall.
Yep, see if there's going to be the move from Pinto, who's got to the outside. He's obviously going to break a little bit earlier, maybe try the up and under as they head through turn 2. That defensive line is going to mean that the Apex Racing Team car is going to be slow on the race down the hill through turn 2 and into turn 3. Of course it is, why not? As Diogo Pinto's not quite close enough, seeing the police hire Jaden Ladick car getting its way through, but not quite close enough. I mean, it was a decent attempt, but turn one's not really a great overtaking opportunity, especially if you're struggling for straight line speed.
No, turn one, we do tend to see most passing happening there, at least in my mind, on the start of the race, because drivers take advantage of how it funnels on in. Pinto still trying to just be tidy. I don't think he's really going to look for a move, even though McEwen increasingly vulnerable, increasingly desperate to protect that spot as well. Here's what happened to Nathan Moore, and it's alongside with the Please Hire Jaden Ladick machine. I don't necessarily think I can blame either car as they try to work through traffic. It's just, again, neither wanting to give or take.
I'd want to see it on board with Arturo Melgar, if I'm honest, because I'm trying to work out if right now, if he... see, for me, I'm going to say Nathan Moore comes off of the white line on the left and then brakes, which, yes, you might say is the racing line. But obviously, as we ride on board with Arturo Melgar here, there is enough room on the left-hand side for a car. So effectively what you're doing there is you're braking on the nose of a car.
Yes.
Never going to work.
A little bit further down, by the way, Antoine Morlaix getting turfed off. I think that was by Altus Esport in their car as well. Closing stages, couple of cars slipping and sliding. It's not done and dusted just yet, because now Carlos Diguez has a trip and through the gravel. I think might even have done some damage to his car through the kink.
Big damage, particularly on the front left. I think you can see the rear suspension, the rear left obviously be a little bit broken there because of how it was tracking. Oh my God, what is happening in the final 5 minutes of this race?
There's oil on the track apparently, and let's track Pinto and McEwen. Let's keep an eye on Kessel and Steinbratton as well, because that gap has come down to half a second. Pinto again though on the outside as they sweep in towards turn number 1. The Portuguese driver surely going to try and cut back underneath, but McEwen runs him close.
Yeah, I think McEwen might be saving a fair amount of fuel here, because Alex Dunn's also closing in potentially for this podium. This is back up to the battle for the race lead as Ollie Steinbratton is hanging on. 2.5 minutes left to go in the race. Should be a couple of laps left to go in this race as we can see what's happened to our Nage competition.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, I mean, maybe distracted a little bit by the NMDH coming through there. That one was a bit of air between.
Just a tad.
Just a tad of air, yeah. No, mate, even my fat belly could have fit between those two.
As Pinto tried to get the move down the hill through turn 5 on Luke McEwen. That is a phrase that I've never heard before, Lewis.
Dear, copyright, trademark that one.
I don't know, I think I've got the fatter belly right now, personally. Anyway, 2 minutes left to go. Where is your race leader? Dylan Shrivens in that 92 machine is starting to try and get his way onto the final laps of the race. He's out through turn 3, means that we will have 1 more lap after this. 2 more laps for these two as they battle. Pinto the long way around the carousel.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work for Diogo Pinto, but again, it's just getting McEwen offline, who I think through the fuel saving, surely there's going to be an attempt down into Canada Corner here. They'll head through the fast kink and onto that backstretch where it wiggles and waggles back over through a couple of left kinks. I think this might be the best opportunity for a move. We know Canada Corner can do it, but I'm sure McEwen will be well aware of that as he brakes quite early. Surely, I think there's got to be a lot of fuel being saved here for that Apex Racing team. It really makes sense right now.
Again, it's just that emphasis on the fact that GT3s are not in control of how many laps they are going to end up doing. You can see how visually close Alex Dunn is as they will begin their rise up that crest for the penultimate time of this race. Snaking back and forth they go. Kessel look within a couple of car lengths as well for the race lead. But I don't even know if he's going to have enough time to latch onto the back of Steinbratton and have a move. Look how long it took Pinto to work over McEwen.
He's going to get to the outside here and try and send it again on the brakes, but obviously it's going to be covered off by Luke McEwen now. Race down towards turn 3. Final attempts for them to have made anything stick. Back up to the battle for the race lead, and surely Kessel, who's going to give something a go here down towards turn 5. He looks, he feels the mirrors, but there is not going to be a mistake delivered from Ollie Steinbratton, who's driving a perfect race right now as the battle for the podium is starting to heat up.
They are going to go side by side down that back straightaway, and the opportunity for Pinto to be brave under braking, but he's got to recognize that McEwen can squeeze him off if he wants to. Are they running close on incident points as well? So many variables to think about. McEwen still holding strong. Done now within 3 car lengths of Pinto. This battle for third, no longer a 2-horse fight on the final lap of the race.
Yeah, and also you've got to remember Norby Kish is also very, very close in all of that. It is a tight fight. Just to clarify, as much as we're on the final lap of the race, I am keeping an eye on Dylan Scrivens, who's only coming down towards turn 5 now. So there is plenty of time for racing, including there could be a potential extra lap. As much as we're saying final lap, there will be an extra lap for those higher up in the GT3.
Yes.
So it's not the final lap for them.
I meant final lap for your race leader. Thank you for calling me out on that one. Kesselhout slips backwards again, now almost half a second away from Steinbraten, but Diogo Pinto not just looking forward now. Alex Dunn is one feisty individual, Lewis. He's not going to be content to just watch as Pinto tries to challenge for third.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed that obviously this car started from pole position. He'll be disappointed that they're not actually fighting for the race winners. There's a couple of switches behind. Nicholas Rubelar getting past Norby Kish as well in the background, coming down towards Canada corner. So there are a couple of switches over the final lap or so as they come out of the final corner. This will be starting their final lap. So thankfully we'll be able to see them across the line as well. Alex Dunn's into the pit lane.
Flew too close to the sun, and Alex Dunn, after a blockbuster performance from Matti Siepela in qualifying, will see Tire Bag Racing dropping outside of the top 10. Heartbreak for them, but meanwhile, the dominant run in 2023 in the BMW M SIM Cup will continue as Dylan Shrivens will cross the line and win round 3 of the BMW M SIM Cup. He does so while also depriving, I think, Redline and the Apex Racing team of an additional lap. That was a battle all the way behind as well.
Yeah, there was the additional lap. I think it was one of the Urano cars, and it would have been Jimmy Antunes in a little bit of a fight there. That was all a little silly.
Oh, it was another red and black car, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Everything's red and black in sim racing, so don't worry about that. But yes, it was crazy seeing them side by side, basically not wanting to go an extra lap. Diogo Pinto, though, has made his way through into third.
Yeah, and without too much drama now, 1.3 seconds clear of Luke McEwen. That looks about as solid as you can, and all seems to have disintegrated the fighting on the final lap, because there's Steinbraten in towards the kink. He's got a second over Kesselhout.
Yeah, it's kind of that thing of like, right, here's the final lap. Obviously, some cars will be like, oh no, there is one more, and then they have to find, basically trying to find a lap to save whilst whilst you're on that lap. It is not easy to do, but it has been a fantastic performance for Urano in the LMDH category, as well as for Team Redline in GT3 as our large competition get past the Apex Racing team, who are saving quite a bit of fuel as well. Yeah,
Luke McEwen, I think, was expecting to do one fewer lap, had to adjust on the fly, as Urano celebrate with a 3-wide flying photo down through turn number 5. It's Team Redline. Back-to-back victories for them, as Ole Steinbraten will press the hill. Gianni Vecchio as well, grabbing the victory as well as the prize money here. Julian Kesselhout within a second come the end of the race. Give it a couple more laps and who knows how it would have gone. But Redline ultimately breaking away in that first stint, the deciding moment of the race.
Yeah, mega stuff. Like I say, really did enjoy the end of that. That was superb stuff. And I say, I'll hold my hands up. You were correct on this one, so well done for at least getting your predictions correct. So
Luke McEwen is not just trying to save fuel; he is out of fuel. And I do believe there goes Tire Bag Racing, that actually is going to hold on to a spot in the top 7. I think the Apex Racing team have not one but 2 cars that are limping.
Yeah, they've miscalculated that one. Did one because they were dropping back quite a bit at the end of this race. Clearly, a sizable miscalculation, unless he's getting a push up that hill. You did say it earlier.
I did, didn't I?
You did say it earlier.
Oh, and now there are cars that are doing their out lap that are trying, or rather in lap, trying to get through. I don't think Cadino's got enough fuel to push his teammate, to be honest.
No. If you've not got enough fuel for yourself, if you've not got enough fuel for your mates.
We actually cannot take a look at the final race results until they've come across the line. So we're going to have to wait a couple of moments here, but...
Thrilling action.
This is amazing. This will also, though, become a talking point for us, Lewis, moving forward. The fact that we've said this could be an issue, for it to catch out someone like the Apex Racing team, I don't think that was on our bingo card for 2023. Also, could you imagine the pain there, running out of fuel, and you see 2 cars basically bump drafting each other around the final second. I get what is happening here is the Apex Racing, basically they're sat there at the moment being like, please can someone push us? Let's see how this works, because I'm very curious how this... Ow! Oh, there we go! Ow! I think Cadino might be almost out of fuel now himself. Yeah, I mean, I get, well, that would be why you'd absolutely smash the rear end. This is painful. This is the thrilling action you wanted to see in BMW M SIM Cup.
and this all to make sure that we can actually see those final results.
They are going to technically finish more than a full lap time-wise behind your leaders.
Way more.
Even, I think they've given up. I think they had to give up the ghost, unfortunately.
Great attempt. Oh.
We're not done yet. He's trying, I tell you. We can't even...
This is... Oh, my goodness me. This is painful. This is content. This is content.
He's actually having to use the clutch, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's...
This
I've not seen this before.
No, this is a reminder of the fact that these are decisions that are so close, and even the best sometimes make mistakes. We'll grab a look at the race results in a moment as we wait.
And here he goes across the line, and it's a fantastic 8th.
Barty decided to stop waving his flag, by the way.
Yeah, he's just watching, being like, oh,
yes.
Come on, I've got a dinner date to go on.
Let's finally dial up those race results. Dylan Shriven's 1.5 seconds clear in the Urado 1, 2, and 3. The domination in this LMDH class continues. How much longer can it run for? Marcus Solo in 4th, with Valtteri Alander bringing the BS Turner machine provisionally across the line in 5th. They had a 5-second penalty. They may have another one after the race. Keika Shube spinning in the number 89 BS competition machine might slide up forward, while Mike Partington in the Williams Esports Marla car in front of the Squadra Canapino, Race Clutch Red, and SRC Movano Corsa GTP Rosa 10. Plenty of shake-ups here because Canapino, another one of those cars with penalties, plenty of those today, with Please Hire Jaden Ladick only getting across the line in 11th after damage in the final stint. Maniti, and then Obsidian and Valkyrie. The final cars finishing on the lead lap with ART Sim Racing, Simsa, Pure Sims, and Race Clutch all scored 1 lap down. Retiring early doors, Owen Carroll and then Sasha Gorliff for the Apex Racing Academy and SRC Movano entries, but the first retirement of them all. Through turn 1, on lap number 1, Distinct GG, Christian Hildegard not getting further through there in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. GT3s, well, Team Redline breaking away in the first stint. It was Gianni Vecchio that did the hard work initially, Ole Steinbratting finishing it off, and 1.3 seconds clear of the charging zebra of Julian Kesselet, who came out just a couple of laps short. Diego Pinto was knocking on the door of Luke McEwen for a while. Turned out it was always going to end up being open on fuel, and Redline scoop up 3rd, Arnage scoop up 4th, with Ryan Barneveld and Norby Kish 5th and 6th for the BS competition entries. After starting on pole, Alex Dunn and Matti Siepola had a late race pit stop, but other drama as well to deal with. They're classified 7th, Luke McEwen and then Maxence Godino for the Apex Racing teams. 8th and 9th positions, Alexander Thieber in 10th, winning a drag race to the line in front of Jimmy Antunes with the ASR Able, ATRS Esports, and fellow ASR Able Esports car, all through your top 14. 2 TPGZ cars then, who tangled with one another, finished 15th and 16th. Arnage, Valkyrie, and Altus, the rest of those 1 lap down. Nicholas Laubish unfortunately found himself the victim of BS Turner in the closing stages of the race. Japard Esports, R8G, Team PGZ, and Team Redline, the fellow non-finishers. We'll head on over down to Victory Lane to have a chat with your drivers, where Lewis McLeod is standing by with Dylan Shrivens.
Oh, here he is, Dylan Scrivens. I was having a little chat with you before the race. Race victory. You've done it finally. Well done.
It would appear to be that way, yeah. But mostly this is down to you. That was a mega carry from you. He was on fire all week, and yeah, in the race as well, he was absolutely insane.
Do you think it's kind of one of those things that Urano having the real strength in the car? Does that like help you through the round? Obviously, like knowing that, or does it kind of almost feel like you've got a little bit more pressure on your shoulders that you're the team to beat?
Yeah, I mean, having I don't know, the best car, the best preparation. I don't know if it's the best, but it's clearly good, and that just gives you confidence, at least from my point of view.
Good to be in a 1-2-3 with the team, though, right? You know, to kind of get to that race victory, and then to turn around and be like, right, where did everyone else finish? Oh, 2nd and 3rd. That, like, surely that's a big boost for you mentally as well.
It doesn't get much better than that, so yeah.
What can we expect for you in future rounds? Are we seeing more wins coming your way? I mean, like, it seems like you've got the pace.
You collectively, as in the team, yeah, we all have the pace. So, yeah, we'll see. But
you specifically?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. We'll hold you to that. I mean, again, fantastic performance from you, Dylan. We'll let you get off so you can go and celebrate with your team. But again, what an effort!
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Bye.
Successful weekend for Urano and Dylan Shrivens as well. Victory yesterday in the GSI Endurance Series presented by Ivra in the 12 Hours of Fuji, and now coming out on top in a week where, Lewis, I was talking to Dylan yesterday during that race at Fuji, and he was telling me that he's been trying to balance some of his education exams that have been going on the last couple of weeks, preparation for 2 big races and everything else in his personal life. Said he hadn't done much preparation for this weekend. Turns out it was good that he had Joop de Ligt to carry him, as he said.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's always helpful having a teammate to not. I mean, carry is probably like the really, really strong way of putting it, right? Because you know that Dylan Shrivens has got plenty of pace in hand, right? But it's more like that you can kind of come along, and if you are slightly on the back foot, you've got the team to back you up. That is so powerful, because what that'll do is it'll make you more at ease, and when you're at ease, you can go faster. There is that whole like comfort thing, and you've got the team to back you up, which just it almost means that you don't have to put in quite as much work. It's probably like the lightest way of putting it. You get what I mean? We've
had pretty healthy gaps between the first 3 rounds of the championship, Lewis. Not such a long gap before we go racing again. Just a handful of weeks weeks away. We're going over to Europe though. 3 rounds in America. It's time to head over to the Nürburgring Grand Prix Laut, one of the sites of a very interesting race in the BMW Sim GT Cup back in 2021, when it was the home of our reduced grid season finale, where there were 4 tickets to BMW Sim Live on the cards, with the multi-class action here. I don't know which layout of the chicane at the end of the lap we're using, though. Either way, it's going to be crazy.
What we know is we're not doing the green hell, which, you know, can be positive, can be a negative. I kind of see it both ways. Could you imagine this multi-class racing around the north side? Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there for that one, but I do get to watch from the sidelines whilst being deafened by various GT3 cars and such. But still, I'm sure it's going to be an interesting race.
I'm sure we can find someone to shout in your stead. Let's not forget, as we take a quick look through the rest of the schedule, that it does start to pick up. Business will start to pick up from here. Watkins Glen at the start of June, of course, as we head up to upstate New York for the next round of the IMSA Michelin Endurance Series. Then over to Spa, to the legendary Spa-Francorchamps. A trip over to Fuji, then almost 7 weeks later. That's a bit of a healthy gap before then. All the way in October, kick off the final 3 rounds of the championship in a condensed month that will see 3 races and us crowning the champion. Remember, new format this year, Lewis. There's no BMW Sim Live instead. $50,000 paid out over the course of these 10 races, including to our drivers here today on the podium.
Yeah, like I say, it's not a bad paycheck, especially for something which you don't pay to enter. It is an open competition. If you're sat there watching and thinking, hey, my bank account's looking pretty empty and I'm also pretty fast in sim racing, boom, get along, come along, have fun, get involved with the races. There's still plenty left to go throughout 2023. And like I say, between the 2 categories as well, you've got choice as to what you drive, as to whether you get battered off or whether you're the one doing the battering. It's up to you.
The quote about BMWs is ultimate driving machine, right?
Yeah.
So you can decide which one is truly the ultimate driving machine.
Nice, that's smooth.
See what I did there? Anyway, it's time for us to say goodbye from America's National Parker Speed. We'll be back stateside later on in this BMW M SIM Cup campaign, but what a rolling start we've had for Urano Esports 1, 2, and 3 today in the LMDH class. It just goes to show how quickly they've gotten up to speed with that BMW M Hybrid V8. On behalf of the team at BMW Esports, for everyone at RaceSpotTV, thank you so much for joining us on RaceSpotTV and the iRacing Esports Network. For Lewis McLeod, alongside myself, Arjuna Kanki-Padi, thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you in a few weeks' time over in Europe at Nürburgring to continue on with round 4 of the BMW Sim GT Cup, the continued offering of BMW Esports in 2023.